The off-season is over. It is time to get down to business at Daytona.
Ryan Reed comes to the start-finish line. Reed is now a two-time Daytona winner.
I don't know how it looked from the stands or TV, but from my point of view, it was a lot of fun.
On the pole this afternoon, Elliott Sadler.
What is the flip thing? Your side skirt is illegal right now. It's sticking way too far out.
Pit road always a dangerous place, and look at the fall that Kyle takes. The crew was definitely not done, and they put their hands up afterwards like, what in the world?
You're doing such a good job with the brake. You're doing great. I don't want to mess it up. But the hair looks beautiful.
It is incredible what this young man has done. I think the bigger question is, what can this young man not do?
Will he be able to hold him off? William Byron wins at Indy.
And we will rejoin the NASCAR Xfinity Series from the Iowa Speedway in Newton, Iowa.
No Cup drivers whatsoever.
That's the season up until now, and back at the Iowa Speedway, it could not be more beautiful for the U.S. Cellular 250 in Newton, Iowa. This is the kind of afternoon where you get all the vehicles out of the driveway, invite about 30 friends over, and get the grill out there. Do some pork chops and chicken, whatever you want to do, because it is fantastic. Hi, everyone. Dave Burns and Kyle Petty still with you here, getting set for green flag racing here at the Iowa Speedway. And though we've talked about him a lot, it can't help but be emphasized again how well William Byron has done so far in just his first season in the Xfinity Series.
No, we're talking about him because he's winning races.
Right.
Okay, and that's the deal. When you look at 3 out of the last 5 races, when you look at Indy, when you look at Daytona, when you look at all started right here at Iowa, he's got to be a part of the conversation and right at the top of the list. And he said it all week. I don't qualify well here, but I run well here, which that's an omen. He's not qualified too well here today, but he probably will run well here.
And he is in the same car that he runs every week. This week, however, there are some winning cars with future stars involved.
Yeah, I think we look at the 20 car with Ryan Preece. This guy can win races. We saw him at New Hampshire winning a modified. We've seen him win in so many different types of cars. Had a great run up there, but there's a couple other cars, the 2 car, the 18. A lot of these guys have some newer drivers in them that can contend and can be a factor today.
And what about that one? If you need a name that you've heard before, Sam Hornish Jr., 3-time IndyCar champion in the field today.
No matter what he comes here in, he's got a shot.
No matter which car you're in, no matter which manufacturer, we have to fire the engines before they get going.
Ladies and gentlemen, here to give the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome today's Grand Marshals and U.S. Cellular customers, Peter Murray, Shane Newton, and Lee and Sean Neitzer.
Driver, start your engines!
There it is. They flip the switches. They start to take command of their office space. And in just a few moments, we'll be having the pace laps at the Iowa Speedway, getting set for the green flag here in Iowa. Back at the Iowa Speedway, engines have been fired. Cars about ready to roll off of the pit lane and onto the speedway for just a few pace laps before we get going for 250 laps. This will be the U.S. Cellular 250, and this is the U.S. Cellular starting grid. We mentioned them already on the front row, Ryan Preece and Kyle Benjamin from Joe Gibbs Racing. Row 2 nearly missed, or nearly got it, Daniel Hemrick and Sam Hornish Jr., a Richard Childress and a Penske car. Row 3, Cole Custer and Elliott Sadler. And KP, as we show the rest of the starting grid here at Iowa, why don't you see if you can dial up Elliott, see if he's got a chance to chat with us.
All right, sitting there on pit road. Elliott Sadler, this is Kyle Petty up in the booth. Do you read me?
Yes, sir, Mr. Petty.
Yeah, Mister, that's my dad. He's at home, so I'm just going to go ahead with this. We have hung on every word that you've talked about this place this week. About it, you hope that it got hot and slick because it kind of puts it back in the driver's hands. I think you've got your wish. What do you think this first segment's going to be like?
Well, I think it's going to be good old Iowa racing. I mean, the grew's really going to move out. We're going to be able to move around a lot, which always puts on a really good show for these fans here. Our one main financial Chevrolet was good yesterday. I've got my pit crew here with me today. We're going to put on a good show and hopefully stay up front, see if we can get some points. But I love racing at this racetrack, Kyle. It gives the driver a lot of opportunity, and I think you're going to see a lot of that again today.
We saw at the end of the race last time a lot of different strategies played out, a lot of different things happened. Some guys that we didn't expect to see in the top 5 or top 10 ended up having some of their best runs. Is this a strategy racetrack? We get into that last segment and it's so long.
Well, I think the thing that you brought up in practice yesterday, you were talking about opportunity. I think with so many Xfinity regulars here and no Cup guys here, that this race gives everybody a lot of opportunity to do some good things, so you're going to take some chances, not only as a driver, but also as strategy with the team. So I think you're going to see some of that again today.
All right, man. Well, keep it between the ditches, and you're my dog, Blue. Hang in there.
All right, man. Good luck to you guys today. Have fun in the booth.
Oh, we're going to do that, Elliott Sadler. So cool we can talk to a driver right before taking the green flag. We'll now let him focus and get set to go racing here in Iowa. This track was built a few years back to be a short track, what do I want to say, a venue, Kyle, that people just fall in love with, and that's really happened. The banking is progressive in the corners, 12 to 14. The size just under a mile, making it kind of a big short track.
It is a big short track, and that is the best way to put it. You know, so many racetracks were built, and we hear fans call them cookie cutters. They can't say that about Iowa. They cannot say that at all. And it doesn't make any difference. We've seen the trucks run here, the Xfinity cars run here, K&N Series, the Indy cars run here. So many different forms of motorsports have been here, and the fans love this racetrack. They love this type of racing. No matter what you put on this racetrack, the fans turn out for it.
You can see the race length, 250 laps today. Stages 1 and 2, there will be a green and white checkered flag displayed at the end of each stage. Rules created this year, Kyle, by NASCAR to create more moments in racing. These stages are won. There are points that are awarded for those, but the winner of the race will have to go to the final 130 laps, get to the checkered flag first. By the way, just to note, Brandon Jones to the rear of the field with an unapproved tire change between qualifying and the start of this race. Onboard cameras for you today. Brendan Gaughan will be carrying the U.S. Cellular onboard camera. Brennan Poole has the DC Solar camera, and we'll get a good look at Brennan racing today. And Cole Custer in the 00 car, one of the youngest in the field today, will carry that Ford camera for us today. Head down to pit lane before the green flag, and Marty Snyder.
Hey, Dave, so KP thinks experience is going to be the key today. No more experience than in that 22 car with Sam Hornish Jr., former Indy 500 winner, IndyCar Series champion, as you mentioned, Dave, and two-time winner at this racetrack. He told me, I agree, I think experience is going to be a key this afternoon, saving rear tires and being there at the end of the run. Sam thinks that's going to be the big key this afternoon, Parker.
Well, Ty Majeski doesn't know a lot about that because he's a rookie. He made his first start here back in June, sponsored by iRacing. Why? He's the #1 iRacer in the world on that sim program. And he hasn't only been iRacing, he also races super late models. I asked him, what have you been doing between that race and this race? He said, I raced 5 super late model races. I won 4. That guy's a winning machine. Keep your eye on that 60 car in this race.
And for those of you new to NASCAR, the way of getting to the top is changing, KP. A lot of young drivers working their way through on simulations and on games even to get their experience with very good simulations, and then getting in, as Parker mentioned, late models and working their way up the ranks.
Yeah, it's so much different than what it used to be. You know, guys came up through the go-karts and came up different ways, but this simulation and the sim race and the iRacing is so spectacular. Parker Kligerman, that works with us at NBC, is phenomenal at it. He blows me away every time he gets in the iRacing thing platform that we have up in Stamford, Connecticut. But I'm telling you, when you watch these guys, what they learn doing that transfers to the racetrack. I never would have believed that. I've got to say, I'm just old school enough that I wouldn't, but it does.
Well, part of the reason it does is because the information given to the games about the tracks is so real.
Yes, and it is. It's incredibly real when you sit there and you watch it. And when we watch Parker up there, I mean, he blows me away the way he does it. But the game has changed. They get that information from Ty Majeski. They get that information from a Parker Kligerman. They get that information from a William Byron. So they're getting true to life information that they can put in the games.
This will be one of the views you'll see with Brennan Poole. That's a 360 cam, so we'll get every angle of what he's looking at. You saw again the 33 of Brandon Jones for Richard Childress Racing dropping to the back, unapproved tire change, and so he'll have a lot of work to do. One of the things obviously he'll have to be aware of is where the leader is in the early laps, and if that driver is catching him to try to put him a lap down. The field is in turn 3. The pace car slowly leading them around. About to drop down onto the pit lane to safety. Let these drivers duke it out for the first of 250 laps, perhaps more, here at the Iowa Speedway. The 19th race of the 2017 season is underway at the Iowa Speedway. Green flag is out. Daniel Hemrick in the green and black 21 immediately diving to the inside of Kyle Benjamin and looking for room to race. Benjamin fights back on the outside and Hornish to the extreme outside. Hemrick now falls back. You see Elliott Sadler in the blue number 1. He rides the high groove. So jumping out to the lead, the 20 of Ryan Preece. Behind him, the battle for second, Hornish and Benjamin.
But we see already 2 laps into this race, 3 grooves coming through turn 3 and 4 right here. You see Elliott Sadler moved outside the dark part of the racetrack, already up into the lighter gray area. Gets a good run coming out of turn 4.
These cars begin the race as Sadler now moves through the 3rd position. Not in optimum condition. The tires are a little bit low on air pressure as you see Hornish fighting back on the inside. And so as the temperatures come up, the tires expand with air and the handling changes, sometimes often to the better.
Yes, and they go through cycles, you know, and we talk about it all the time. In this type of racing, in an Xfinity car or a Cup car, the first few laps are the most grip in these tires, but the pressure's low, so the tires dry, or the cars drive a little bit different. Elliott Sadler makes them run through 3 and 4, gets the crossover down in 1 and 2, and then has to complete the pass back at the other end of the racetrack in 3 and 4.
Good look back from Brennan Poole running in 6th. That is the 7th place car of Justin Allgaier, and down to the extreme low side, the 21 of Hemrick. Hemrick made a bold move early, but is now back to 8th in the 21 car.
Yeah, he got hung on the inside there. Daniel did, coming out of turn 2, 3 wide on the inside, and it just bogs these cars down. They're not Cup engines. They don't have they're not overly powered. And when you get into this thing and come up off the corner, if you bog them down just a little bit, it takes you a while to get back up to speed. We've seen Elliott Sadler run that high side and get those runs off forward, where we see Daniel Hemrick struggle on the bottom.
Matt Tifft going for 9th. He'll get it from Blake Cook. The 19 car is through. There is William Byron in the 9 car. 18th place right now for the 3-time winner on the series this year.
Yeah, and he's just mired in traffic right now. I mean, no matter what he wants to do, he may want to go low, and we see him go low right here. Boom. There's the 42 car, Tyler Reddick, right across his hood, and slows down his forward progress and slows down that momentum. Every one of these guys are trying to figure out where their cars are working best and where the other guy's going to be. It's a stupid saying they have in racing: pass them where they ain't. But when you're caught in traffic, they're everywhere you want to be.
Marty Snyder.
And Dave, in the corners, you can see these cars just fly everywhere through the corners at Iowa. William Byron trying to make some forward progress. You know, KP, they brought the same exact car they won with here 4 weeks ago. Came with the same setup at the beginning of practice, and obviously that was a night race. This is a day race. Big differences, though. They've really struggled trying to find the speed on this 9 car. So when you bring a car that's won in the past, same setup that's won just a couple of weeks ago, doesn't mean it's always going to be successful when you bring it back, does it?
No, it doesn't. Just because you win 4 weeks ago, you come back to the racetrack with the same car, that's not a guarantee. We're going with the Cup cars to Pocono tomorrow, and the Cup cars will be there, and that's a prime example of a place where it's 2 totally different races, even though they're very close together. This appears so far, if we go off of William Byron and how his car has worked since he's been here, 2 totally different racetracks. It's one racetrack in June, it's another racetrack in July. It's hard for people to understand that are sitting at home, but from the driver's seat, you feel it in your hands.
Materials, temperatures, all kinds of things that change race to race. How about that 62, Parker?
Well, guys, no surprise to see him using that high groove. We know how much Brendan Gaughan loves going to the high lane, but I talked to his crew chief, Shane Wilson. I said, how do you temper your driver a little bit? Because going up there as early as he is right now can really punish that right front tire, and they've been in that position before at this racetrack where he's over-punished that right front tire by going to the top too soon. And he told me basically, all I do is I remind Brendan, you need those tires to last at least lap 60 at one point. So keep it on it and be careful when you get up there.
Parker, thanks. Gahn continues to hold off William Byron. That is for 17th. Up front, it has been all Ryan Preece from the pole in the 20 car. Remember the story. Ran a full season last year in a team that runs 15th to 10th every week. This year decided to pool all of his resources for two opportunities with Joe Gibbs Racing, and he is making the most of it again here this afternoon. Preece leads. Benjamin is not far back. Sadler is right behind. Can they catch him at the U.S. Cellular 250? Gear up with the pit crew and get the latest NASCAR t-shirts, hats, and diecast at the NASCAR shop. Visit NASCAR.com/shop today for all of your favorite drivers' gear. Beautiful shot off of turn 2 here at the Iowa Speedway. You see how those cars fade out toward the wall, but keep it in check. The best so far, Ryan Preece in the 20, who now has a 1-second lead over second place Kyle Benjamin. Marty?
Well, Dave, you mentioned it a moment ago, and we talked about it during our New Hampshire race, but I certainly think it bears repeating what Ryan Preece kind of went through going into this season. You know, Kyle, drivers have a certain amount of money they can work with in a season. Last year, Ryan Preece used that money to run for Johnny Davis at JD Motorsports, and they went and ran pretty much the whole season. But this year, he said, I'm going to take that same money and run 2 races with Joe Gibbs Racing. Just 2 races to prove what I have and what I can do behind the wheel in the best equipment. And unfortunately, that's what young drivers, Kyle, have to face right now, isn't it? They have to decide, do you want to be in the best equipment or do you want to run more races? Ryan Preece said, I want the best equipment. Showed what he could do in New Hampshire, showing what he can do here as well.
Yeah, you know, it's amazing to me that he took the amount of money he had, could run a full season with another team, but with a top organization, could only run 2 races. But here's the thing. Do you want to just be out there making laps, running laps, and riding in circles, and nobody notices that you're there? After a few races, they forget you're even in one of these cars. Or do you want to have an impact? I think he felt, and his partners felt, as they begin to sponsor him, they said, we want the best for Ryan Preece. Let's go to the best. Ryan took the initiative, made the phone call, knocked on that door. It opened. He's had an opportunity. Second at New Hampshire. That was a great run. But I think a lot of people expected that from him. I think since he's unloaded here at Iowa Speedway, a place that's not his home track, that's not where he's won modified races and K&N North races, things like that. This is a place that he doesn't have 1,000 laps on like he does at New Hampshire, and he has picked it up right where he left off in New Hampshire.
This is a look back from Cole Custer to the 7th place running Allgaier. Parker?
Guys, Justin Allgaier started this race 14th. He's up to 7th, as you said, and working on Cole Custer there in the outside lane. I talked to Justin just before he hopped in the car, and I asked him, not a great qualifying, what's the plan here? And he pointed to the top of the racetrack. He said, I'm going there, and I'm going to the front, and you can see that right now. He has made up 7 spots in this short amount of time.
So, Kyle, we talk about the story of Ryan Preece, and not to say that the car he was racing in, they weren't racing hard. You take examples every week like that. Like right now, Ross Chastain has been in a torrid battle with Michael Annett and his teammate, the 0-1 of Harrison Rhodes, battling for 24th. These guys are all over each other on the track racing, but they're not probably headed to victory lane based on history.
No, they're not. And listen, talking to Ryan over the winter a couple of times, it's harder to race farther into the field, deeper into the field. When you don't have the resources, it's tough. You've got to stretch everything you do and maximize and get the most. We see Ross Chastain right here. He's running that car, and we see the 5 car. These 2 cars are in different zip codes when it comes to financial, what they're spending on these cars. Ross Chastain and his team does a phenomenal job. Johnny Davis does a phenomenal job with what they have. They take 2 or 3 cars, they bring them to the racetrack, and they run in the top 15 or 20. That's their expectations. When you drive a Gibbs car, or when you drive a Childress car, or when you drive a Junior's car, one of Junior's cars, the expectations are win or get another job. That's the way it is. And I'm telling you, these guys, and looking at Chastain here, these guys do a great job.
See him fighting with the 5 of Michael Annett. Michael from Des Moines has over 750 employees from the TMC Trucking Company here this weekend cheering him on, hoping he can make that pass on Chastain for the 24th position. been entertaining and now wants to entertain behind the wheel of a race car. Up front, you're not missing anything. Preece has now legged out the lead to almost 2 seconds over now second place Elliott Sadler. That's changed. He passed Kyle Benjamin. Benjamin is now third. And there you see the leader. Working lap traffic now, Kyle. We talk about the different grooves on this racetrack and how you go high, low, or wherever. What does Ryan Preece hope the drivers in front of him at the back of the pack do?
Yeah, I think he hopes they're listening to their spotter and they're paying attention to the flag man with the move over flag. But at the same time, I'm telling you, Ryan is a veteran. I mean, we talk about youth. We talk about how young he is. We talk about the car he has. He knows how to pass. He doesn't just run up on somebody and say, I'm going to the inside. I'm going to the outside. He knows when he gets that guy in his sight, this is where I'm going to pass this guy. I can see what he's doing. And we'll see Elliott Sadler do the same thing. You almost have a book on the other drivers. You know where they like to run. Is it up next to the wall? Is it down on the bottom of the racetrack? You've already decided before that guy is within 100 yards of you, basically how you're going to get around him.
Sadler is up to second now, Marty.
And Dave, we saw him get around Kyle Benjamin a moment ago, but at the beginning of the race, we saw that 18 car kind of jump out, and it's almost like Elliott Sadler and Sam Hornish, who's back there in the 4th position, kind of said, all right, kid, go ahead and run out there. That's fine. And then Elliott slowly tracked him down. Hornish is now tracking down Kyle Benjamin. And Kyle Petty, you said at the beginning of the race, experience will pay off. How does that experience come into a factor here when you're kind of saving your car? You see these young guys jump out there, but those veterans always seem to find a way by either middle part or the late part of the run.
Yeah, the veterans, you know, the experience will rise to the top on a slick racetrack, and especially like this. And when I mean the top, I don't mean the top groove. I mean they'll find their way to the sharp end of the stick, to 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, right along there. But it's the same thing. You see that youth and exuberance. You know that guy is on the wheel. He's up ready to go. Kyle Benjamin only having a few opportunities to run this car. He's going to get the most out of it as soon as he can. So he's going to bust it those first few laps. Elliott Sadler, on the other hand, knows this is a 250. He's got plenty of time to let him run out, heat up his tires, and then reel him back in.
Halfway through stage 1 at Iowa, and the first opportunity to earn a checkered flag today. Ryan Preece leads. Sadler and Benjamin are chasing. Back at Iowa Speedway, stage 1 underway. Pole sitter Ryan Preece proving that race car is not just a good qualifier, but also a good race piece as he gets ready to put the 51 of Jeremy Clements, running in the 29th position, a lap down. Back in the pack, the 23 of Spencer Gallagher, currently running in the 17th position, but under heavy pressure from William Byron, the 3-time winner this year, and the 28 of Dakota Armstrong, looking for a spot to go.
And we saw Byron's car as he gassed it up right there. He hit that seam, it seemed to, and the car just skated up the racetrack. It's just not rotating through the center of the corner where he's able to pick up the gas when he wants to right now.
You see on the upper left, stage 1, 22 laps to go. 2 laps before the end of the stage, NASCAR will close pit road, giving the opportunity to dive down and play a little strategy, bring that to a close, and then they will close the stage with a green and white checkered flag. Stage winner will get a bonus point, and they'll move on from there. At this point, Ryan Preece has been the best, but Marty, they're limited today on their sets of tires like normal.
Yeah, going to be interesting here, Dave. They have 3 sets laying here on pit road, so they'll take 1 at stage 1 at the end of that, 1 at the end of stage 2, and then that last stage, it's a long one. Chris Gabehart, the crew chief of the leader, Ryan Preece, told me it's one of the most difficult stages of the entire calendar for the Xfinity Series because it's 130 laps, and he said someone during that stage will save tires until the very end, hoping that they can put on fresh tires because they're worth about 1.5 seconds and come up through the field and win a race. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they play this final segment of the race today.
Marty, great point. As we see the 62 of Brendan Gaughan with trouble. And he got into the wall, did Brendan. Recovered and continues on. Brendan running in 15th place. Daniel Hemrick is on pit road in the 21 car.
And Dave, he's here because he said, I have a vibration, and he said, I have to come to pit road. So they put on right side Goodyear tires. They felt like, he said, it feels like a loose lug nut. That's certainly not something you want to have at the start of a race, but all they did was put on right side Goodyear tires for the 21 of Daniel Hemrick, who had a really quick car this afternoon. Felt like he had a shot at the win.
And Marty, he's been nursing that car from the start. Qualified 3rd and has been dropping back. He pitted from 20th position at that moment. That makes a long day, KP, but it's not over.
It's not over by any stretch of the imagination. Obviously, and we just heard Marty report on tires. Now they've had to use a set of their right sides where they've only got 3 sets of tires. So that's bad. I can't imagine it would be a loose lug nut on the start of the race. But remember, when this race started, Hemrick went to the bottom of the racetrack, took him 2 wide coming out of, or 3 wide coming out of turn 2, and he just hammered that bottom of the racetrack the early part of this race. Did he abuse one of those tires and it just go away on him?
Blake Cook in the 11, Ben Kennedy in the 2. They are battling for 9th position. And KP, I want to bring up again just what they're racing for in these middle stages, stage 1 and stage 2. The winner gets a playoff point. The key to that playoff point can be run throughout the playoffs. When they start the playoffs, they get that added to their total. When they go to round 2, if they make it, they get that added to their total. It's a big bonus.
It is a huge bonus, and a huge bonus for these smaller teams when you look at it. So that's why we've seen gambles in these stages, to get that opportunity, to have that opportunity to win a stage. We're watching Blake Cook here and Ben Kennedy, and you see how hard it is to pass. Ben can rotate through the middle and get that line on Blake Cook coming up off the corner, but he just can't complete the pass. As he goes down into turn 1, Blake rolls the center of the corner, picks up the gas a little bit quicker, and is able to power down the straightaway. You see Ben just get a little free and dance up the corner, and boom, now you're back in. So everything that you worked for the last 2 laps on, you just gave up in that one corner. It is frustrating when the high groove comes in if you don't have that groove.
Ben driving that race car, Blake holding his line. Meanwhile, Ryan Preece happy where he sits. He's the leader. NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by U.S. Cellular. U.S. Cellular delivers a strong signal where the other guys don't. And by Ford. We go further so you can. And by Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR. A lot going on right now at the Iowa Speedway. Glad you could join us for today's U.S. Cellular 250. Ryan Preece is the leader with 8 laps to go in stage 1. Meanwhile, Daniel Hemrick has been on and off of pit road in the 21 car, a loose right rear wheel. Kyle, that was from the start of the race, and the crew is not happy about that.
Yeah, rightfully so. They shouldn't be happy about this. Somebody made a mistake somewhere. You should not start a race with loose wheels. I'm sorry. There are basic things that you check. These cars came out of qualifying and go right into a race situation. That should have been checked before that. I'm sure that'll be a question when they get back to the shop that someone will have to answer.
Wow, Sam Horn is trying to drive that 22 car, but here comes Brennan Poole. This is the battle for 4th.
And you see Sam's car dance up off the corner, and as we ride with Brennan Poole, how straight up off the corner he runs. About a half a car length or width to a car width wider. He gets a run on him, and the 22 of Hornish wisely just gives it up and says, with this many laps left in the first segment, we're not gonna fight it.
6 to go in the first stage. Poole gets a position. What about William Byron, Marty?
Certainly hasn't made the progress we thought he would, Dave. Started 17th. Right now he's up in the 15th position. He has been waiting on the throttle in the middle of the corner. Just the car is so loose that he can't even get on the throttle. And I tell you what, he's almost on the same straightaway as the leader. I don't think he's in danger of going down the lap, certainly with 5 to go in this stage, but they are struggling with the handling of this race car. However, at the last 5 laps, at the end of this run here, he's been one of the 5 fastest cars on the racetrack. So go figure that. But Kyle, they have been struggling with the handling on this 9 car. I think we all thought he'd be better during the race. A little surprised he's been struggling this much, though.
Yeah, I think it is a surprise that he struggled this much. And you know, I said something a minute ago. It looked like he jumped that cushion a little bit and got up outside and was waiting. And that's good information. He's waiting because it's loose. I want you to look at the left front on this thing as he rolls it down in the corner, though. It's black with brake dust. He's driving the car a little bit with that brake and just dragging the brake so that the car does stay up under him a little bit, right through the center. He's not making any time in the center of the corner because he's dragging the brake so much, but at the same time, it's keeping the car steady.
Well, this is not Byron's time, obviously. It has been all about Ryan Preece up front. The end of the race, and after a couple of opportunities to work on the 9 car, there are more bonus points and a big trophy and a check involved for William Byron. They'll see if they can make those adjustments and get him back into position. This time by 2 to go for Ryan Preece and the first checkers of the day, the end of stage 1. Sadler is now 2 seconds back in the 1 car.
and has been that way since about the 15th lap of the race. We're watching Ryan Preece pretty much just annihilate the field here and dominate this first segment. But at the same time, the one car of Elliott Sadler has not let him get out of sight. 2 seconds for 40 laps or 50 laps. That's pretty impressive that he's been able to run and not lose anything.
Makes me wonder if either one of these drivers want much of an adjustment on their race car.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not sure.
You don't want to mess it up either, right?
Yeah, but they know whether the track has changed or not. They know what they need. As we see a couple of these cars, I mean, these guys are all over the racetrack at this point in time.
Ryan Preece underneath and to the checkers, the green and white checkers to end stage 1. Preece will take it at Iowa.
That was an impressive first segment from Ryan Preece.
Sadler, Benjamin, Poole, and then Sam Hornish Jr. hung on for 5th with what appeared to be an ill-handling race car. And on down through 10th position, points will be awarded toward the regular season championship. And when we come back, we'll set up the next stage and perhaps even talk to Ryan Preece. More from a moment in Iowa. Stage 1 winner Ryan Preece in the blue and white number 20 now sees the green light on pit road open and available for him and the rest of the field to come down and get their cars serviced. And after the first 60 laps, we know they are looking for fresh tires and Sunoco fuel. Let's head down to Parker.
Brennan Poole in the 48 drove up into the 4th position. He was very happy in that race car. They're going to do 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel. He was just looking for a bit of drive off in that 48 car, something a lot of these drivers are talking about. Also on the right side of your screen, you see Justin Allgaier on the 7th. They're going to do 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel. Struggling a little bit with being tight in the center and then getting loose off. Marty?
Chris Gabehart, the crew chief for Ryan Preece in that 20 car, the leader, said Dalton Loaf. Remember, he's a young man, not a lot of experience with pit road here. He said, I'm a little tight in 3 and 4, but pretty good in 1 and 2, kind of afraid to make too many adjustments to the car. And then for Elliott Sadler, said his car was a little bit too free in the center, especially in 1 and 2. And I believe Kyle Benjamin is the man who wins the race off pit road, Dave.
Significantly changing up front, Marty. Benjamin will be the first off of pit road, and Preece all the way back to 6th, loses 5 positions on that exchange. He did, however, win the first stage. KP, let's see if we can dial him up.
Ryan Preece, this is Kyle Petty up in the booth. Can you read me?
I got you, Kyle. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I bet you never thought you'd be talking to me in the middle of a race, but let me tell you something, man. That first segment was impressive. Did your car change a lot during that first segment? And did you guys make any adjustments?
Yeah, we made some adjustments that changed, but I think it was just typical tire wear, nothing crazy, just trying to make our car better just like everybody else is. But just to answer that quick question, did I ever think I'd ever be talking to you? I hoped I would, so it's pretty cool.
As we start this segment, obviously you're back in the pack a little bit. You've got to come from 5th or 6th and work your way back to the front. You've been working traffic phenomenal, catching them and going around them wherever you caught them. How do you look at the restart here?
Patience is huge. You know, we got a lot of more laps, 190 laps to go, so just going to try to get back up there, get that clean air, because obviously it means a lot, but just patience. Patience is huge.
Good luck, man.
Thank you.
Calm and trying to make the best out of a situation where he was giving up the lead there on pit road. Here you see the Ford Performance Stage 1 results. Again, Preece at the top. There's the rest of the top 10. We'll be back with more from Iowa. The Iowa Speedway hosting its 16th race for the Xfinity Series in its storied history, a track that bears the winter weather in the middle of the country and then comes back to put on a great show. Eating up those Goodyear tires and making them slip and slide all around, KP.
Slip and slide. That's what, and all these guys have talked about it all week. Since they started practice yesterday afternoon, they talked that this was going to be a multi-groove racetrack up next to the wall. We're seeing them run right up next to the wall. This looks like Darlington when they run through 1 and 2 and through 3 and 4 down here. They're so close to the wall.
The first car not on the lead lap was Ross Chastain. He gets the free pass and has made his way around. You see the 07 of Ray Black Jr. and the 21 of Daniel Hemrick getting the wave around, putting a couple of more cars on the tail end of the lead lap. There were problems for Tyler Reddick in the 42. Parker, what's up?
Yeah,
And remember, he shares this car with Kyle Larson throughout the season. Great opportunity coming here to Iowa Speedway. Finished third here in June, but they had an electrical issue on that 42. They are in the garage right now trying to fix that. A tough break. His next race in that 42 will be at Bristol, Mass.
So as we get set to restart the U.S. Cellular 250, Reddick remains in the garage and will not be at the restart. Again, Black and Hemrick rejoining the tail of the field. And up front, it has changed. The lead car is Kyle Benjamin, the veteran. Elliott Sadler to the inside, and Benjamin, as the control car, has the option, Kyle, of choosing either the inside line or the outside line. That black 18 has chosen the outside.
But we've seen the outside line. We've seen it during the only guy that's made the inside really work is the guy in clean air, which was Ryan Preece, who just drove away from everybody. But we saw Elliott Sadler on the outside.
They enter the Geico restart zone. Benjamin puts the hammer down, gets a little bit of a push from the 00 of Cole Custer, but he can't make it stick. And the 1 is to the lead in turn 2. Elliott Sadler out front again at Iowa. His teammate Allgaier, the orange 7, looking. Benjamin kicked back to third momentarily. Does he have a challenge on the outside? Yes. Benjamin will keep it 2 wide.
It's a strong move by Elliott Sadler because, and we see Justin Allgaier get position on the 18 of Kyle Benjamin. Kyle just can't seem to run up off of turn 2 as good as those other guys on the inside. And we've seen Elliott Sadler, when he gets to the outside, he makes that outside work.
And you know what that leaves open? The inside line, where his Ryan Preece in the blue and white 20 run all day long, the inside.
All day long. He's not come off of that yellow line.
Now he gets a little bit of a block from Benjamin.
Yes, just a little bit. And that's the problem. You've got a teammate that's running almost the same line. As we see Justin Allgaier make a move on Elliott Sadler here, going into turn 3.
Dives down, takes the lead coming up off of the corner. Here comes Sadler for the switchback, gets right in behind his teammate. They're nose to tail coming across the line. Justin Allgaier leads at Iowa.
And we saw Elliott Sadler do this at the start of the race. He raced the 18 pretty hard. He let the 18 go ahead and get out there and run his tires off a little bit and then just drove back behind. Will Elliott Sadler do that with his teammate? I don't see Justin as that type of driver. Justin has moved back to the top of the racetrack and is floating it off in the corner, powering up, coming up off the corner, not using his tires as much as we saw Kyle Benjamin.
Teammates from Joe Gibbs Racing running 3rd and 4th, but then 2nd, Junior Motorsports, and the leader, a Junior Motorsports driver as well, Parker.
Yeah, guys, and think about the last couple weeks for that 7 car and Justin Allgaier. New Hampshire, they had a great car. He was driving into the top 5, and he had a transmission issue. And then last week, highly publicized how fast they were, how good he was running at the end, the good position they were in, and then he messed up on pit road. Oh, there's a wreck there.
Trouble in turn 4. It is the 4 of Ross Chastain, Parker. Sorry to interrupt. He got around and spun, and I don't believe collected anybody.
I think he's got a flat left rear, and maybe that's why he spun, but the thing just looped around a slow looping turn in the middle of the corner, and he was able to drive away, and no one got into it, just a single car spin.
From 23rd position, he had just gotten the free pass, had come to pit road for service, as he is allowed to do, and already in progress. We see that red 4 spinning and coming to a stop, and it looks like no harm, no foul, KP.
Yeah, no harm, no foul. Like I said, as he turned down in the center of the corner, it was a slow loop around, and I do believe he has a flat left rear. Yeah, we see the left rear right there.
Yep, and you see a little damage on the right side there. He's found the wall at some point here at the Iowa Speedway. Under caution at Iowa. Bringing the whole family to a NASCAR race has never been easier or cheaper. Kids 12 and under are free for every Xfinity and Camping World Truck Series race on the schedule. Discounted tickets are also available for every Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series event. Visit NASCAR.com/KidsTix to learn more about free and discounted tickets for an event near you. This would have been a good one to apply that, KP. What a gorgeous day in central Iowa. And we've seen a beautiful event so far.
It would have been a great one, and it has been. It was great out here yesterday. The weather was nice here yesterday. It's nice today. Great day to be at a racetrack.
Elliott Sadler has a fast one car today, Marty.
Yeah, Dave, we've been talking about that experience behind the wheel. He said something interesting, Kyle, when the caution came out. He said, you know, it's just too free when I get back to the throttle, and I don't want to hurt my right rear yet. It's way too early to race. So that's that experience behind the wheel. Elliott says, yeah, I could probably go up there and race my teammate Justin Allgaier, but I know if I do that, I'm going to hurt the end of my run, and that's where I need to be better.
And that, great explanation, Marty. Thank you very much. And that's, you can see Elliott do that. We saw him in the first run do that. So what he's saying is when he goes to the gas, he could hammer it. He could just abuse that tire. But the last 10 or 15 laps, then it's going to be double loose. It's going to be really bad. He could be just, you just wear it out. There's nothing you can do. So what he's doing is he paces himself now. He lets you go run your race. And then when you falter in the last 10 or 15 laps, he hopes, then he's able to come back by you on better stuff. We saw him do it to Kyle Benjamin early on. And these are lessons that it's tough to teach. It's tough to explain to a young driver. You have to learn them the hard way by getting beat.
Harrison Rhodes received the free pass. Daniel Hemrick was back on pit road after the wave around worked out for him. He took on left side tires. Those two drivers will resume the race in 23rd and 24th. But up front, Allgaier has control as he heads to the Geico restart zone and gets a good jump on the field. Way down to the inside, Cole Custer took a look and then thought better of it in the white 00.
Ryan Preece in that outside lane got a really good restart also.
And Elliott still likes that high line. I mean, he's got 5 or 6 car widths between him and the low line.
And he's just, as he said, he's just floating the car off in the corner, letting it rotate, and not really hammering it up off the corner. But by running that high line sometimes, he's able to get that momentum down the straightaway and carry it the length of the straightaway.
Sam Hornish battling the 48 of Brennan Poole. Hornish has 7th. On board with Custer. Custer kind of choosing the midline there. Hornish stays low, Marty.
Just the second start of the year for Sam Hornish Jr. And Kyle, you and I were joking that he's got life figured out, right? Here's a former IndyCar champion, 8,500 winner, and he's running part-time. I said, hey, would you be interested in a full-time ride? He said, only if I'm not bringing the money, and it's a good ride. He said, otherwise, I'm enjoying spending time at home with his wife, Crystal. He's got 3 kids, 9, 6, and 3. He said, I'm having the time of my life, man. I don't have to work. I'm enjoying racing when I want to race and when I'm competitive, so he's got it figured out and running well here. That's a Hornet's nest back there, isn't it, Dave?
That was close. The 3 of Brian Scott collects it, and the 16 of Ryan Reed was right there. William Byron in the 9 car trying to work his way back through. He's now 9th.
And here's the thing. When we get to the corner, we watch these 3 cars here. You can spread out. One can run high, one can run low, one can run in. It doesn't make any difference. But you all want to be in the same place when you come off the corner. That's out next to the wall. That's letting the car have its head and letting it run free up off the corner. So as we see these cars, as we see the 3 of Brian Scott just wiggle a little bit getting into the corner, and the 16 of Ryan Reed is able to drive past him. But you want that car to be able to carry that momentum off the corner there, and everybody tries to use as much racetrack as possible.
Brian Scott's first start of the season in the 3 car. Parker, what's up?
Yeah, well, think about this. His last race was Homestead in the Cup Series last year because he retired from full-time racing. You mentioned Sam Hornish kind of jumping in there and reacclimating. Well, I asked Brian, you know, it's been a while off. What's it been like getting back to the race car? He said, it's been seamless. But I don't think, Kyle, he was ready for this kind of racing, 2 and 3 wide. That's when, as a driver, sometimes some of the things that you've missed being here, when you haven't had your spotter telling you 2 and 3 wide, can be a little tougher, and he's struggling on the top side right now.
Yeah, I agree, Parker. It is, you know, jumping back in the race car, the feel of the race car, some of that stuff comes back to you instantly. It's the guy talking in your ear. It's feeling that car on the inside, understanding there's a car on the outside. It's getting back into the heat of the moment and the heat of the battle that you begin to say, man, I don't ever want to do that again. And now all of a sudden you're thrust back into it, and you've got to pick it up really quick. He is really free right now coming up off of turn 2 over there.
Sliding that car free means the back end wants to come around. 12th position right now for Brian. And he's one of a number of cars that really don't care about points today, Kyle. Ben Kennedy is another one. Kyle Benjamin, 20 of Ryan Preece, Sam Hornish. They all just want to win the race today.
And that is what is so cool sometimes about the Xfinity Series or the Cup Series, the Truck Series. As much as we talk about guys that come in and run just a few races, You've got guys out there like Elliott Sadler, like Justin Allgaier. These guys are racing for points. They've got to be up there running for points. That's what the main thing is. Then you throw the group, it's win or go home. I don't care. It's all about getting a trophy. And that's a different type of racing. And they race different when it's all about the trophy.
Fourth being contested here. The 2 is Ben Kennedy. The 18 is Kyle Benjamin. And the different lines once again. There was a race here last night supporting the weekend. And it's called the K&N Pro Series. And we were told that they raced higher on this racetrack than they'd ever been seen racing before. And you can see Kennedy, who was in that race, not afraid to try that high line.
Yeah, not afraid to go up next to the wall. And Ben has done a great job of just biding his time and working his way to the front. He's an incredibly smooth driver. You never see him really put the car in a bad place on the racetrack. He takes what the car gives him and he maximizes that. And he has run these guys down. He's challenging, yes. He's had that position, almost had that position a couple of times, but he's just being patient right now.
Halfway through stage number 2, Justin Allgaier is the leader, but Ryan Preece, the winner of stage 1, and Elliott Sadler are chasing him down. Preece to second, going after the lead. This fall, anywhere in the world when Americans are at risk, one team brings them home. The Brave, coming this fall on NBC. Wow. I'm going to watch it.
Good read, man.
I'm going to watch it as if Xfinity Series racing isn't enticing enough. Justin Allgaier, we heard from Parker in break there that nothing like clean air, right? What is that, KP, for those that might be watching for the first time?
You know, obviously, when you have clean air, it means you're getting to the air first. That's the easiest way to explain it. So these guys, when they run these cars in the wind tunnel, when you're trying to maximize downforce, when you're trying to maximize what your car's capabilities are, you want that clean air. He was able to run these first few laps in clean air. And yes, you catch lap traffic, and that dirties up the air again. But right now, he's a straightaway behind the next car. So this is when his car's the best. If we look at Ryan Preece right behind him, Ryan Preece is always in dirty air as long as he's behind that 7 car. And that's where Ryan really was able to capitalize early in the first segment, was to get that clean air and stretch everybody and win the first segment and lead every lap.
Parker's had his eye on the leader. Parker?
Guys, it's not a surprise to see that 7 running so well, because he told me after practice yesterday they were really good at the beginning of practice when it was hottest and slickest, and then as it got later in the day and the shadows fell over the racetrack, they weren't as good. So they wanted it to be hot and slick like it is right now. And so no surprise for that 7 car to kind of come into its own and be running all over the racetrack as he is, but being able to find speed. This is exactly the conditions they wanted, Marty.
Parker, I'll tell you, it's been fun to watch Ben Kennedy in that 2 car. He's running the high line, and he has been committed this entire run to running the high line, and he's made it work for him. He's all the way up to the 4th position, and for a while was catching Elliott Sadler. You see Kyle Benjamin in the shot there as well, so a nice run for Ben Kennedy, his best finish of the year so far. 4th at Talladega. That's where he's running right now. A little bit further back is William Byron, yes, in the 9th position, and while it is the 9th position, much better than they were running earlier. I mean, he was 15th on that last run. Dave Ellens told him, he said, once we get 30 laps on the tires, your top 5 car, no doubt about it. William radioed in to the car, feels much better this run. They told him one step at a time. Fun battle with 2 young guys there. Ty Majeski on the bottom, Dave, and William Byron going back to 10.
Yeah, and Marty, obviously, and you know this, you got to minimize days that aren't your best. He's had great days, 3 wins already this season, but right now it's about work with your crew chief, find the adjustments, and take care of that 9 car.
And listen, huge adjustments from the first segment to this segment. Huge improvement. And that's what you want to see out of a young driver. You want to see them, as you say, take a bad day and maximize it. But you always also want to see them be able to communicate with their crew chief, be able to communicate with their team and their driver to make improvements. And we've seen William Byron do this between the first segment and second segment.
See Ty Majeski there in his 2nd start in the 60 car. That's a storied number in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Mark Martin took it to so many wins for Jack Roush, and actually they've got the most wins by 1 in the series of any car ownership. 138 wins, 93 of them happened in this 60 car at the hands of Mark Martin, Carl Edwards, Chris Buescher, and others.
Yeah, we talked about it the other day. That number 60 Winn-Dixie car, the black car, it did so much. Every time when I see the car, I see Mark Martin standing on the top of the door waving at everybody in Victory Lane, because that was the photo that we saw week in and week out.
Mark Martin, the NASCAR Hall of Famer, Parker.
Yeah, well, Ty Majeski's hoping to start a career that becomes a Hall of Fame career. But I asked him what was the goal for today, and he said top 10. I think it's realistic, and therefore it's great to see them running in the top 10 in 9th right now. He's so excited for this opportunity. We've talked a lot about him using iRacing to come here, but to add on to his super late model stats, you might have heard earlier in the day where he's won 4 out of 5 between his last start in June and this race. He's done 22 super late model races this year, and he's won 14 in total.
Wow.
This guy has been incredible every time he steps in a race car, and I think a top 10 is more than realistic when I'm watching that 60 car right now.
He's 22 years old, from Wisconsin, trying to make a name for himself in the Xfinity Series. On board with Brennan Poole, who continues a good run today, has been in the top 5, currently running 6th. He's got Sam Hornish just behind him, and he's just about a second behind the 5th place car of Kyle Benjamin. Hear him getting the throttle there, KP.
Yeah.
They don't want to spin those tires. They've got limited horsepower, but they can still spin the tires if they're not careful.
And listen to how he rolls back into the throttle. He doesn't just punch it. See, it's just a smooth, slow roll into it, and that keeps the rear tires from breaking loose. Now, when they qualify, they just hammer it. They're in, they're off, they're on the gas a lot more than they are in the race. But this is all about letting the car roll through the corner, getting the car pointed in the right direction, and being able to accelerate up off the corner. We see Brennan Poole here inside the car. Look at him as he turns the car into the corner, lets the car float, not a lot of wheel input, and just eases back into the gas. When his hands are as smooth as they are, you know the car is driving pretty steady and pretty smoothly.
Love these onboard shots. Thank the team for getting them for us, for our group from BSI, installing them everywhere. They have to work together. You know, these guys are working on the race car, and our guys are installing electronics for our pleasure. The electronics on top of the tower show this battle here. The 7 of Allgaier now caught by Priest in traffic.
And this is where Ryan really worked traffic well in the first run, because he could run right on the bottom of the racetrack.
Working some lap traffic here, Marty.
And trying to get that lead back and win another stage. You know, doing a very good job. Remember, he told us patience is going to be the biggest key. And they reminded him, Chris Gabehart said, hey, let's just not beat ourselves. That's the one thing we can't do. Kind of a funny story about Ryan this weekend. He showed up at the racetrack. He forgot one thing, his racing shoes. So he had to go buy a new pair of racing shoes. Problem is, he doesn't actually own a credit card. So he had to borrow his wife's credit card to go buy a pair of racing shoes just to run this weekend. It's fun to see how humble this young man is and the upbringing that he comes from. Kyle, you ever have to borrow Morgan's credit card to go buy some racing shoes, or really anything? I don't know. You ever have to borrow the credit card to go buy some shoes?
I borrow Morgan's credit card for everything I do. That's the way it works. I just thought that was normal. I didn't know it was abnormal until I heard Ryan say, yeah, I had to ask my wife. I thought you asked your wife everything.
I'm thinking cowboy boots on you, my friend.
Yeah, that would be it.
That's how you would do it. It's a great story. He's 26 years old. He's from Berlin, Connecticut. Spent a lot of his time in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Series. Was its youngest champion in 2013 at age 22. And trying to chase down the leader and win a second stage here. 8 to go in stage 2 at Iowa.
And here's what has impressed me with Ryan Priest, sitting and talking to him, is that he may have doubted in the past whether this was the right decision or this is where I need to be. But he has never doubted his ability to drive a race car. And that's what great drivers do. Whether you sit and talk to Jeff Gordon or Jimmy Johnson or growing up with my dad, they never doubted what they did was right at that time. And what they did behind the wheel was always right. And Ryan Priest has that attitude that whatever I do is right and I can win.
21 of Daniel Hemrick did stop on the last caution, put on left side tires after he got the wave around, and is now working his way back up, challenging Spencer Gallagher for 15th. It's a good turnaround for Hemrick after a loose wheel forced him to pit road early.
A really good turnaround, and that shows the strength of that team, I think, where they took something that was a mistake. They took something that could be, you look at it as adversity, and they've been able to rebound to a place where they put themselves back in the race. Remember, this is only the second segment. Now they're back on even playing field. They're back on an even ground. Yeah, they're 14th or 15th, but we can make a call and get back in the race in that last segment.
Kyle, think about how valuable these stage points are. The stage win would be to Justin Allgaier versus Ryan Preece,
yes.
A one-off race. If Justin wins here, he gets a one bonus playoff point. Because he's not a full-time driver, Ryan doesn't need it.
Yeah, Ryan, again, as we said earlier, as we see the 7 car of Allgaier catch a little traffic right here and slow him down, slow his progress down. But it's hugely important to that 7 team as they go into the playoffs to have those playoff points. Ryan Preece, after he runs a couple of races, he's going to go home. The playoff points are going to set on a shelf somewhere. No one will be able to take advantage of them. So as we wind down here with 4 to go in this segment, it's really critical, I think, for Justin Allgaier to hold off the 20 car.
Dylan Lupton in the 24 and Joey Gase in the 52 trying to stay out of the way, but still racing. Meanwhile, that allows Preece to work up to the back bumper of Allgaier, who gets a better run off of turn 2. And coming to 2 to go in the stage, Allgaier seems to have command.
Yeah, and that was a great visual right there. We saw the 20 car roll into the corner and think he had an opportunity to jump in the gas. The car pushed up off the corner. Justin waited on the gas and let the car run up off straight and just absolutely gapped him a little bit there. Just enough, I think, to hold him off in this segment.
07 of Ray Black Jr. just in front. Looked like he was having a little bit of trouble. Allgaier will go down to the inside of him, but here comes Preece coming to the 1 to go in the stage. Ryan Preece is close enough. Justin Allgaier trying to hold him off and gets close to Black. And now dives down to the inside. Allgaier, whatever line he has been running, knows he wants to protect that bottom because that's where Preece has been good. But here comes Ryan Preece looking to the outside.
Yeah, Preece got that run on the outside, but it got a little bit of free right there coming up off the corner. This is great stage racing right here. These guys are racing for 1 point, and the point is more important to the 7.
It's why the rules were created. Coming to the win at stage 2, Justin Allgaier gets the point. He holds off Ryan Preece. Elliott Sadler, you can see them getting the regular season points underneath their name there as well. But the bonus playoff point, the one that carries through, the one that he can take with him if he stays in the playoff all the way to the final round at Miami, Justin Allgaier gets that one. When we come back to the Iowa Speedway, we hope to talk to the winner of stage 2 after they've had a chance to visit pit road. Iowa Speedway, very active on pit road. The leaders are coming to pit road right now, Parker.
Cole Custer pits out of 8th place. He's going to do Ford Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel, but he's been struggling a little bit that race car in turns 3 and 4. His spotter just came on the radio last one and said, "You're great in 1 and 2, though. Keep doing what you're doing there." On the right side of your screen, you see Justin Allgaier just won the stage. Came across the radio and said, "Yeah, boys, stage points." Very happy that race car just needs a little bit of drive off. Ford Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel. Marty?
Terrific run for Ryan Preece at the end of that stage. Parker, he said the car fires off really good. He's struggling a little bit in 3 and 4. He said, "I would love a little more drive off, but I don't mean much, just a little bit." Elliott Sadler says, "I'm struggling for rear grip as well." Tight race off pit road. The 7 will actually win the race off pit road. He said, "I can fix my center with my brakes. I need you guys to help the exit off of the corners too free for that 1 car."
Allgaier came to pit road as the leader. He leaves as the leader after his 3rd stage win of 2017. Kyle, see if he'll chat with us for a minute.
Justin Allgaier, this is Kyle Petty up in the booth. Do you read me?
Yeah, loud and clear, bud. Go ahead.
Man, great stage win, stage points, carry over to the playoffs. Watching this race so far, first segment, second segment, the top, these guys have gotten off the bottom and moved to the top a lot more. It seems like the whole field. How hard is it to work lap traffic right now?
Oh, well, it's really hard. You know, I think that's probably the key right now is being able to manage it. Obviously, the 20 was doing a really good job right there behind me. You know, our Brent Preston Agriculture Chevy is really, really good. You know, we weren't really sure at the end of practice and even through qualifying how we were going to be today. But the guys did a great job of making some adjustments on it before the race. And, you know, ultimately, it's just going where everybody else isn't. And right now, we got a pretty fast Camaro here.
All right, man. 130 laps to go in this thing. Last segment. Good luck.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
That's your stage winner. We'll look at the Ford Performance Stage 2 results as we head to break. Green Flag Racing when we come back to Iowa. Oh. The U.S. Cellular 250 from the Iowa Speedway about ready to resume. In the final stage, a dash to the finish. And Michael Annett, the local boy from Des Moines, Iowa, will not be among the leaders as he's had problems in the 5-car, had to get a push from the wrecker. And this is what happened on the pit stop. They were already working on it. Kyle, typically reaching all around there, you'd think electrical or transmission. Is he going for the...
It seems, you know, you see the guys working right there on the firewall or right at the back of the engine. You see the guys inside. You know, there's so much stuff in this car. You would think that it would be electrical at some point in time, and it never seemed to fire off.
Crew members dive inside there to try to rework everything, reattach, and then reboot whatever they can to make this car go again. Disappointing for Michael Annett. Mentioned earlier, over 750 employees from the sponsor here this weekend, and disappointed to see their driver stuck on picket lane right now. There they are right there. And they've been enjoying the day. They've obviously got a lot of hospitality and had a wonderful time here. Good crowd on hand this afternoon on a gorgeous day in central Iowa. But Michael Annett's day is being cut shorter and shorter as he stays on pit road. Marty.
Just checked in with him, and it is an ignition box issue. They said the car just died. They have flipped boxes a couple of times, but the car just won't fire, so they're trying to figure out exactly what's causing this problem. But no power, and they have pulled the ignition box now from that 5, so no power for that 5 car. Not the home race that Michael Annett wanted, Dave.
Indeed not. Up front, a kid from Illinois and a kid from Virginia. The 42-year-old kid of Elliott Sadler on the inside. His teammate Justin Allgaier on the outside now, coming back to resume the race in the final stage. One final chance to get to victory lane at the Iowa Speedway. Allgaier fires off into turn 1. Ryan Preece, who has been so strong in the blue and white 20, through to second now, and Sadler takes that familiar highline, KP, and rides in third.
Yeah, and Sadler instantly, you know, doesn't go to the bottom, doesn't hammer his tires, lets the car ease. We're going to talk about tire management, because this is a tire management race is what it seems to be. But Ryan Preece has gone right back down to the bottom of the racetrack. Watch as he powers up, and the 7 car gets the run off the corner from the middle lane.
3 and 4 wide behind him, but Justin Allgaier liking that out front view. Here it is, Sam Hornish in the 22 on the inside, Ben Kennedy in the 2, up high, Matt Tifft in the 19, and down below him the 18 of Kyle Benjamin.
And we see Hornish slide in front of Ben Kennedy, but Ben Kennedy had really started to make that middle and upper groove work, and it made some progress back up to about 4th place.
Into the wall, Ty Majeski off turn 2, just a kiss.
Okay, honestly, that looks like Mark Martin driving that thing, because Mark would run that thing right up next to the wall coming up off the corner.
Oh, the 48 of Poole looking for a spot, KP.
Yeah, Ty obviously didn't think that he had his nose in there, but Brendan Poole had already stuck his nose in there. Has to check up a little bit, and you see that puts him 3 wide going in the first corner, because we see the 21 of Daniel Hemrick get a run on him down the straightaway.
Hemrick to the low side, and he's going to get 10th, I think it's 9th position now, if he gets around the 48, but the 48 of Poole battling back on the high side. At the line, it is 9th for Hemrick. Poole still side by side with him. You see William Byron, the 9 car, the leader in wins so far this season for the Xfinity Series regulars. Blue and white 9 joining this battle as well. Parker with more on Poole.
Guys, remember, he's 4th in points this season, but when you talk to him, you wouldn't know it, because he was surprised to be 4th in points in that 48 car this season. He felt like they just haven't gotten the finishes as well as they run, and one of the things they've been working on as a race team is trying to execute at the end of races. Last year, they used to finish better than they ran. This year, they feel like they start off the races great, and they fall off. Remember, he finished 4th in the first stage, and he fell into the top 10 for the second stage. Hope to make it better in this last stage. We got a battle for the lead.
We do. Parker Poole still scored 9th, but up front, Allgaier now seeing Preece look high and low, KP.
Yeah, this is where we're going to see how Ryan Preece is as a driver. We know that he can win races. We know he's a smart guy. We've seen he's not just following in the tire tracks of that 7, because if you follow in the tire tracks, you're never going to get around the guy. We see that's a power move right there. He came up off turn 4 really strong, got a good run, got a good angle. Here it's a little bit tougher, but if he can make it stick beside of him for just a lap or 2, he may be able to wear that 7 down, put a slide move on him, and take his spot away coming up off the corner.
Well, a little slide from Allgaier there, and Preece battles back on the inside, but Allgaier with that momentum on the high side, he'll be scored the leader again at the line.
This is as close as we've seen Ryan Preece be able to take the lead back since they lost it under the pit stop after the first segment.
And Allgaier, what a show of strength. He hangs on to that lead. You know, at some point, you wonder, do you give it up and maybe save your car a little bit? Not here.
But I love Ryan Preece. As soon as he got that, he went back to the high side. As soon as he fell back in line, he went back to the high side.
6th place now being contested. Kyle Benjamin in 5th. The 6th place is Sam Hornish Jr. And you see 4th right there, Cole Custer. We're on board.
We're seeing these guys race a little bit harder at this point in time. Remember, this is a 130-lap segment. This is not a 60-lap segment. So you got to get something early and then try to maintain it, because last time they were here, we saw green flag stops. You want to be running 3rd or 4th. You want to be running 1st or 2nd if we do have green flag stops again.
Parker?
Kyle, one thing you just mentioned there about Preece running that low line is when the dominant line becomes a top, you can only try that for a lap or 2 before you overheat those tires. You overwork them, and then you do exactly what he's doing right here. You get back to the top, you let that car cool down, you reassess that 7 car in front of you, and then you make another move at it. Try to make that slide job happen. But you got to have that positive momentum from off the top, otherwise it's never going to work. You're just going to end up using your tires out or wearing them out on the bottom, trying to get by that 7 car who's in the dominant lane with all that momentum.
Great point, Parker, and that's something that you learn through trial and error and through experience. You see he's cooled his tires off a little bit, and just as Parker explained, now he's willing to make another run at it. He's going back down to the bottom. He's trying to get position. He can roll through the center, but the momentum of the outside line, being able to run a straight line up off the corner like Justin Allgaier does, carries him at least a car length, maybe a car length and a half down by the end of the straightaway.
Battle for 4th on the right was won by Kyle Benjamin. Battle for the lead on the left. Justin Allgaier demanding that Ryan Preece race hard for that lead. Even at this point, with a lap 142 in the books, does not want to give up just 1 ounce of that track position. We talked about that clean air earlier. He's got it. He's got to keep it, KP.
Yeah, you can't give it up. This is one of those things. When you get a guy down, you got to keep him down. That's the way it's supposed to be. You don't give anybody anything. You don't give him an inch. And Justin Allgaier is not giving Ryan Preece much of an opportunity. He lets him peek to the outside. He lets him peek to the inside, but he's not going to give him a quarter.
Got to step away for just a minute, but you won't miss a thing, because we'll go NASCAR nonstop from the Iowa Speedway, where Justin Allgaier is trying to hold off a hard-charging Ryan Preece.
In that dark moment, with death staring me in the face, I said, "Not now, Jeff! I got chicken sandwiches to make!"
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about chicken. With no antibiotics. Never! Okay, charbroiled, sealing the flavor.
Wait, you had that whole conversation while your boat was going down, Daddy?
Yes, I did. The charbroiled chicken sandwiches with no antibiotics ever. Get the new Hawaiian chicken before it's gone. Only at Carl's Jr. and Hardee's.
Please, a 1% difference makes all the difference. That's why U.S. Cellular put towers where most others don't. Sadly, they're using a good enough network.
Hello? Hello? Left or right?
What's one wrong turn? Oops. Bye-bye. A 1% difference makes all the difference. So get our strong signal with unlimited data and no hidden fees for $40 a month in the middle of anywhere.
You each drive a Ford pickup, right?
Yes, sir. I have a Ford F-150. I've always been a Ford guy.
I have a real treat for you today.
Awesome.
I'm going to show you a next-generation pickup.
Let's do this.
This new truck now has a corner step built right into the bumper.
Super cool.
The bed is made of high-strength steel, which is less susceptible to punctures than aluminum.
Aluminum is great for a lot of things, but maybe not the bed of a truck.
And best of all, this new truck is actually
Oh, my.
the current Chevy Silverado.
I'm speechless. This puts my Ford truck to shame.
I tell you, I might be a Chevy guy now.
Yeah.
No, please, please, oh.
The running of the Bulldogs? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much money Aaliyah saved by switching to Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Every lap timed to 100th of a second. Every gallon measured down to the last drop. Every tire holding till its last tread. Each moment building with pressure. But no matter the precision put into a car or a race, the path to victory is through total chaos.
Unbelievable.
Final stage of the U.S. Cellular 250 at the Iowa Speedway. 100 laps to go next time by. And Justin Allgaier, you saw in NASCAR Nonstop, able to keep Ryan Preece guessing and thinking and wondering through lap traffic. Dave Burns, Kyle Petty, Parker Kligerman, and Marty Snyder, along with our entire NBC crew, bringing you all of the action here today. And Kyle, the decisions being made now are largely based on the fact that a lot of the lap traffic is running that preferred high line.
Yeah, it's just like we talked to Justin at the beginning of this segment. Lap traffic became a factor about 2/3 of the way through segment 2, where they came off the bottom. They started moving to the top. Well, that's where the 7 of Justin Allgaier wants to run right now. That's where the 20 of Ryan Preece and the 1 of Elliott Sadler, that's where they want to run. So when they get to the corner and they have to go to the bottom, then the guy that you're racing, the guy that's behind you, catches up with you. So it's a little bit tougher to work lap traffic right now, and lap traffic could be an issue as we get down to the end of this race and we get on older tires.
Thankfully, there's room to run 3 wide because that was tight, Marty.
Boy, Ryan Preece doing all he can to get the lead from Justin Allgaier. You can see the savvy behind the wheel as he kind of is very patient at certain times. Also interesting to watch him and how he approaches the race weekend. We talked about how he only has 2 shots in a Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota, and I asked him, is there pressure in that? He said there's no pressure in that, only opportunity. That's how I view these 2 races, a chance to show what I can do, Kyle.
Yeah, he's got him in traffic right here. We see Ryan Preece. We saw the 7 car slip a little bit. The 20 car of Ryan Preece run him into lap traffic there, used it as a pick. He's got position. Will he be able to take care of it?
Fighting, and then the 52, almost 4 wide. Joey Gase in the 52 has to give way. Tommy Joe Martin's in the 78, trying to stay out of the way. And here goes Preece back to the low line, trying to take it from Allgaier. Allgaier is going to fight back and hold on.
Wow. Impressive run by Justin Allgaier. Impressive driving. And even the lap traffic. You've got to give these lap traffic guys a little bit of credit for understanding where the fast cars are, where the lead cars are, and giving them room to race. Great driving by these 2 guys, by Justin Allgaier and by Ryan Preece right there.
And Kyle, there's 96 laps to go.
Yeah, these guys are racing like it's the end of a segment, and this is big-time points that they're racing for. They're racing for that trophy. But they can't, as we said a minute ago, they can't give anything up. They can't give anything. You see them coming up off the corner right here. The 7 car, free, just a little bit loose. Ryan has to pinch it. He wiggles a little bit, and that little bit that he wiggles gives up that half a car length that allows the 7 car of Justin Allgaier to just get a nose ahead and be able to roll off into turn 3.
And of course, the 52 of Gase and the 78 of Martins, they were fighting for position.
Yes, and good and great driving by those 2 also to be able to give them room.
Looking now at Elliott Sadler in 3rd. Kyle Benjamin has him in his sights. Marty with more on the 18.
I'll tell you, the 1 on the 18 trying to reel in those top 2, and you can imagine the pressure on these young drivers. We just talked about Ryan Preece. How about Kyle Benjamin? Here he is with a shot here to run at Iowa in a Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota. He'll have 1 more shot at Kentucky. And sometimes Kyle dads are the ones who fund these rides for young men getting in these race cars and young women getting a shot in NASCAR. That's the case for Kyle Benjamin. And in essence, Kyle Benjamin's dad said, hey, bud, this is it. I'm not going to fund it after this year. He's run super late models in the past. He said, we're probably not going to run that. So here he is with 2 races, and maybe that's the end of his career, and that's all he's got to show what he can do. That's pressure on a young driver, isn't it, Kyle? The window for these young drivers to prove what they can do behind the wheel is shorter than ever.
Yeah, that is the sad part of the sport right now. The window it opens when you're 16 or 17 and closes when you're 19 or 20. And if you've not established yourself or got over that hump, it's really tough to break in. That's why Ryan Preece's story, as we see him battle for the lead again, is so phenomenal, because that window has almost passed him by, but he's not let that window close. He has begged, he has borrowed, he has stolen, it seems like. He has clawed, and he has done everything he could as a driver to make something happen for him. And we see guys like Kyle Benjamin. You know, you would hope that somebody would see the talent in these guys and pick them up and be able to help them along. But this is a sport now where the dollar is king. Cash is king. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. And if you can't bring a sponsor, if you can't find someone to buy your way into a ride, it's tough. See Ryan Preece get a little bit of a run up off turn 2 here.
Trying so hard to track down that 7-car, Parker.
I just want to add on a little bit to what you guys were talking about with young drivers and the opportunity sometimes being told, like Kyle Benjamin, this is all you got. Make the best of it. And that's the unique part of being a young driver, trying to move forward in the NASCAR world, is that there's a lot of drivers out there that are in that same position, I can guarantee you right now. But as a young driver, you've got to be able to put that aside and focus on the race at hand. We've seen it throughout this year. Think back to Bubba Wallace in that 43 car and the opportunity he had there. He knew Kentucky was his last race. He went and got his best finish because he focused on the race at hand, and that is what you have to do, as Kyle Benjamin is doing today.
And Parker, as we get ready to go NASCAR nonstop, these cars can go another 55 laps or so on fuel before they will have to hit pit road and make some decisions, unless there's a caution before then. But you'll know if it happens in break, because you're going NASCAR nonstop.
Wi-Fi. We literally cannot live without it. And if we can't live without it, maybe it's time to reimagine it and make it even better. So it's awesomely fast. No, still nope. Now we're talking. So it works here, and here, and here. And so you can even take the occasional timeout.
Whoa!
Yes, indeed. Amazing speed, coverage, and control.
Introducing Xfinity XFi. Find your awesome and change the way you Wi-Fi.
Smithfield marinated fresh pork. Perfect any night for bringing the family together. Grilled, roasted, sautéed, or slow cooked. The prep work is done, so your meal is ready in about 30 minutes. So you'll never miss a beat. Enjoy real flavor, real fast with Smithfield marinated fresh pork. Flavor hails from Smithfield.
Cindy, you don't even have a dress.
You're not going anywhere in those rags.
Together and what have you got?
Put them together.
Cindy?
Introducing an all-new crossover, Toyota CHR. Toyota, let's go places.
All right, we're back with one of the best dunkers in basketball. His name is Zach LaVine.
Thank you guys for having me.
All right, enough with the jibber jab. Let's roll Zach's top 10 dunks.
Okay.
Oh, look at that.
Hachi, chachi, dunky, rini. Guys, these aren't my dunks. These are sandwiches.
Welcome to our house. That's
Zach.
right. We live here.
You live here with the sandwiches?
No, I have a home and a wife and a child. I live here with the sandwiches.
Try the new Dunked Ultimate Chicken Sandwich in 3 bold flavors and get half-price shakes and ice cream slushes after 8 p.m. This is how you Sonic.
Look ahead to the last blast of summer, August 25th through 27th at Road America.
And it's a party that's broken out here in Wisconsin.
At America's National Park of Speed, you're a part of the adventure.
The Motorplex, the zip line. Don't forget the food. It is Wisconsin after all.
The NASCAR Xfinity Series circles a playground of camping, karting, and family excitement August 25th through 27th. Click or call to claim your place at the party. Stay and play at Road America.
You were watching with us the entire time at the Iowa Speedway. Justin Allgaier continues to hold off the 20 of Ryan Preece in a torrid battle. We get down to the end here in the 250th lap at the Iowa Speedway. And caution is out. Problem for the 23 of Spencer Gallagher. Looks like that right front is down, Kyle.
Yeah,
and he's hit the wall.
Yeah, and have not seen it, don't know what come first.
That's right.
Which come first, whether it was into the wall or whether he cut a tire and got into the outside wall, but pretty heavy contact as you see the right front towed way out and flat.
Spencer was having a good day.
Yes,
qualified 12th and was running in the 15th position when this happened. Look at the right of your screen. And just
yeah, he cut a tire.
Yep.
You see the thing just turn right all of a sudden, right in the middle of the corner. This is where the car, you're on that right front going in, you're dragging the brake a little bit, floating it off into the corner, and the right front just goes down and he turns dead right into the outside wall. And he was having a good day. I thought he was driving one of his best races that I'd seen him run.
Spencer, the 27-year-old from Las Vegas, making his way through his rookie season in the Xfinity Series for GMS Racing. A part-time 96 car as well, running that today with Brett Moffitt. Ben Kennedy's been in that car. Disappointment today for Spencer. Now, strategy, Kyle. If they pit right now, they would be able to make it to the end on fuel. But we're guessing that most of them only have one precious set of fresh Goodyear tires left.
Listen, this is where you need Steve Letarte up here, a crew chief. I am not a crew chief, and I would never pretend to be a crew chief. These guys, I respect what crew chiefs do, especially in this series, in the Xfinity Series. To only be allowed 3 sets of tires, to have to make calls and leave your guys out, or come in and gas and go, and not give up track position or give up track position. So many different variables. With this many laps left in the race, you don't want to put your final set of tires on. I don't believe you want to get called out there with 30 to go and somebody else pits and drives by you on the outside, because this is when you chose to do it. And there may be some teams that do, because that's a gamble a team running 8th or 9th or 10th may take, or a team that's farther back in the pack. This is a tough decision to make right here.
Pit road is open. What will they do? The 7 of Allgaier stays out, and everybody else is going to come down pit road. This is going to get interesting. Parker?
You have Cole Custer there, who pitted out of the 5th position. He's going to do 4 Goodyear tires in Sunoco fuel, just fighting a bit tight in the center right now in that 00 car. And interesting enough, he doesn't love this racetrack because it's too edgy, and that car's been edgy throughout the day.
Big decision. Do you take your last set of tires here? You're going to get a green with about 75 to go. Kyle Benjamin said he's a little bit free early into the corner, but the biggest problem is the exit. They said that's where I'm really losing time. Way too free on the exit. His teammate further up pit road, Ryan Preece, will go with 4 fresh Goodyear tires. He said he too struggling with the exit a little bit. And a lot of these teams who did come down pit road went with their 4 Goodyear tires. Some will save them for the end of the race. It's going to be interesting, Dave.
Coming off of pit road, Ryan Preece will be first, but the lead remains with Justin Allgaier, who stayed out. Strategies being played with laps winding down at Iowa.
These custard concretes are so thick and creamy. It's incredible.
So thick and dense. They really remind me of somebody that we know.
Can I guess?
Sure.
Okay.
Very dense person.
Very dense.
Super slow on the uptake.
Can I call a friend?
Sure.
Okay.
Sorry, hold on a second. Hello?
Hey, who are we talking about? Hello, Peter. I know you picked up. I can hear you breathing.
Chocolate chip cookie dough. Now one of our thick and creamy frozen custard concretes. And try our premium pretzel dogs. This is how you Sonic.
Wi-Fi. We literally cannot live without it. And if we can't live without it, maybe it's time to reimagine it and make it even better. So it's awesomely fast. No, still nope. Now we're talking. So it works here, and here, and here. And so you can even take the occasional timeout. Whoa! Yes, indeed. Amazing speed, coverage, and control.
Introducing Xfinity X5. Find your awesome and change the way you Wi-Fi.
Cindy, you don't even have a dress.
You're not going anywhere in those rags.
Put them together and what have you got? Bippity-boppity.
Cindy?
Introducing an all-new crossover, Toyota CHR. Toyota, let's go places.
To 100th of a second. Every gallon measured down to the last drop. Every tire holding till its last tread. Each moment building with pressure. But no matter the precision put into a car or a race, the path to victory is through total chaos.
Unbelievable.
NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. And by Arby's. Arby's, we have the meats. And by Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR. And by U.S. Cellular. U.S. Cellular gives you a stronger signal where the other guys don't. Caution period winding down. You can see the pace car has the lights turned off. That means they are coming back to the green. Justin Allgaier stayed out, Parker.
And he did, and I talked to his crew chief, Jason Burdett, and said, what are you doing? He looked at me and said, 80 laps. It's just too many laps. This was a predicament so many of these teams were scared of, as being able of putting those tires on too early and then finding themselves in a position later in the race with no more tires to put on those cars. Marty?
Chris Gabehart told Ryan Preece, said, good news, bad news. Good news, you're the first car on tires. Bad news, as you can see, the 7 stayed out. If he gets a caution at any point, we're all done. So, Dave, that's the big drama. Do we get a caution? Will Justin Allgaier get a break here? He has the best car, but remember, even if he does put on tires, which are 1.5 seconds faster with a brand new sticker tire versus an old tire, he's got to drive through 24 cars, the entire field, to get back to the front. I know one thing, it's going to be fun to watch.
Very, very interesting development. And you see the safety truck there on the front straightaway. They were picking up pieces of debris even as we were getting ready to go back green. So naturally, NASCAR put the caution back out for another lap. Let's take a look at today's Toyota driver update. You see Ryan Preece, second place. Kyle Benjamin very quick as well. J.J. Yaley running in the memory of team owner Mark Smith today. And then Matt Tiff, Dakota Armstrong, and Dylan Lupton. Kyle Benjamin has been very strong, but he hasn't shown this the kind of speed and the kind of consistency that Ryan Preece has today.
Yeah, Kyle Benjamin has been strong right after a restart for the 10 or 15 laps. It's almost like he's got a, and we talk about a lot, a short run car versus a long run car. But he has been strong. But this is the best race I've seen Kyle Benjamin run. I'm going to say that. Yes, we've seen him qualify on the front row a lot of times, but he's not been able to take that and turn that into solid runs. Today, he is having a solid run.
Okay, the control car, the leader, is the 7 of Justin Allgaier. He stayed out. He is on older tires. Every other car up in the lead group with him has fresh tires. We expect Justin to get eaten up at the restart, but how many positions will he lose, and will there be contact as they go by him, as they come to the Geico restart zone? As expected, the 20 car gets a great jump. He's allowed to beat him back to the line as long as Allgaier was allowed to fire off first, and he's way up out of the groove already.
Yeah, but you see Justin. There's no reason for Justin to hold up that outside line, and he didn't want to turn down and create havoc going into the first corner. That's experience right there. Now, at the same time, he understands these guys are going to be coming. He wants them to only pass him on the left. Don't let them on both sides of you. Make them pass you to the inside. So at least he's holding some of these guys up. He doesn't need to get lapped. We see these guys are already a quarter of a straightaway ahead of him right now, but he doesn't need to get lapped. He's got to run this part of the race and keep themselves in the thick of it, no matter what, in case they do get a later caution.
And Jason Burdett, the crew chief for the 7 car, has studied all these scenarios. How much will we be giving up? Can it work? Is this a play we can do for the win? And you heard the response that Parker got. That was close. I want to save those tires till later.
Yeah.
It's too early.
Yeah, and he believes it's too early. A lot of guys, I do believes that was too early. But when the guy in front of you does it and things change, you've got to do it too. That was pretty intense right there. He went on the back of Brendan Poole. Brendan braked just a little bit, and Justin got into him. But I'm surprised he's been able to maintain as well as he's maintaining right here. He is not just falling like a stone through the pack.
So as Allgaier hangs on, currently 10th, this is the situation up front. These cars both got fresh tires and a fill of Sunoco fuel. The 20 is Ryan Preece. He leads. Elliott Sadler is broken away with him.
Yeah, and this looks like the first segment. These two guys basically ran the same speed. I know there was a second or two between them, but they basically ran the same speed for 60 laps. As we threw the green flag here, we had 70-some-odd laps to go. Will these two guys maintain this and pull away from everybody and we don't get another caution? Or if we do get another caution, what will that 7 car do?
Sam Hornish runs in third in the 22. A couple of wins for him here at the Iowa Speedway. And fourth place contested by the 18 of Benjamin and the 00 of Cole Custer. Custer is on the outside. We ride with him. Clearing coming off of turn 4 is the 18 of Benjamin. Behind them, 6th place Poole being challenged by the 21 of Hemrick. Look at this, the 19 of Tift in the middle, the 11 of Cook. There is Allgaier. Hang on with the old tires on the outside, and you're on board with Gone. And there's some more tiptoeing going on back here, and drivers hoping, the ones that did put on their tires, to have something left for the end as well.
And I'm telling you, as we watch Justin Allgaier here on the outside of Blake Cook, and when Brendan Gaughan right behind him, he is doing a phenomenal job. He has only dropped back to 13th or 14th at this point in time. These guys have, what, 7 or 8 laps on his tires. He had 42 laps on his tires already when we went back to green. So that is a huge amount. Is it equaling out? Has he fallen to a place where he's just as good on old tires as some of these guys are on new tires? I'm not sure, but he is doing a great job, Justin Allgaier does, of managing what he has under him right now.
Remember earlier in the day, the 21 of Daniel Hemrick had a loose wheel, had to come to pit road, went a lap down, was able to recover through a wave around situation and a timely caution flag. Allowed him to get some fresh rubber.
And he's 7th. He's 7th.
Great game for him.
What a great run for Daniel Hemrick and for this team. I mean, these guys left the wheel loose, or feel like they did, had to come to pit road, use half a set of tires, come back, be able to work the cautions, work the way things came from a lap down to get back in the top 15, and now they're in the top 10.
He looks pretty racy, Marty.
And Dave, when they made that change, when they came down pit road, put on those left side tires for that second stop of the day after the loose right rear wheel, they literally changed everything you can change on the car. Danny Stockman changed wedge, he changed track bar, he put tape on, he put a spring rubber in, he changed the air pressure, he did everything he could to make this car better, and Daniel's doing a fantastic job. You know, Danny told me a couple weeks ago, he said, I haven't given Daniel winning race cars this year. That's my fault. I think we've got to get better as a company, but the place we can show it, short tracks. And here they are today, running in the top 10, and a nice recovery. Young driver did not get down, and he's rallied back for a nice run here towards the end of the race.
Good battle back here. The 60 of Majeski, watch out. That's the 3 of Brian Scott. And William Byron soldiering on in 10th position, making the most out of a day that is not a winning day for William.
Yeah, and you talking about Daniel Hemrick and those guys rallying as a team and doing something special as a team. I think we look at William Byron today. This is a guy who's won 3 of the last 5 races, well documented. We know what he's capable of behind the wheel of a car. But when put in a little bit of a different situation, to soldier on and make the most of a bad day. This is not a terrible day, but this is not the days that he's had in recent weeks. If they can come out of here and salvage a top 10, that's the championship caliber teams That's what championship caliber teams do.
Marty?
And Dave, you know what's impressive when you listen to William on the radio? He doesn't get upset. He's not mad about how the race car has been handling all weekend long or here in the race. Been very calm. He's been thanking the guys on the pit crew. And Kyle, you said yesterday this young man needs to be in a Cup Series car sooner rather than later. I think you, in fact, said next year he should be in a Cup Series car and Rick Hendrick should go ahead and make the move. But you can tell he's got such a good head on his shoulders for 19 years old. Not upset at all. Even though he's won 3 of the last 5 races, not upset they're not running the way they should today.
Yeah, he seems to be just really on top of everything. And I say that he needs to be in a Cup car already because, and I've said it before, I quote my dad, a driver shouldn't stay one place too long if that's not where he wants to be. If his ultimate goal is to be a Cup driver, go ahead and get him in the Cup Series. Let him learn habits about racing with these guys. We see the 60 car of Todd Majeski just absolutely sideways there coming off the corner, and Byron gets a little bit of a run on him, taps him going into to turn 1 there just because he had the momentum. But you learn to drive against the people you race with, to learn against Jimmy Johnson, to learn against Kevin Harvick, to learn against those guys would accelerate the learning curve for William Byron dramatically, and he has done what he needs to do in the Truck Series and in the Xfinity Series. We see Ryan Preece here. Ryan is just running his laps, hitting his marks, and doing everything he needs to do, and has pulled away from the 1 car of Elliott Sadler.
55 laps remaining in the race. The final stage for the win at Iowa. Justin Allgaier on the old tires has dropped back from 1st to 15th position, hoping for a caution and a chance to put on those tires. He was last on pit road on lap 123. Everyone else pitted on lap 172. The last person who wants to see a caution, of course, is Ryan Preece, out front and gaining steam, it appears. But this is Allgaier needing that race break to put those tires on.
Yeah, this is a team that's hoping for a caution. The team that's leading right now, Ryan Preece, JGR, they're saying, no, we don't need anything. We need this race to play out. But no matter, Justin Allgaier has done a tremendous job on this set of tires and on these older tires because, as we heard Marty say, new tires are worth a second and a half a lap for a certain amount of time. He was able to at least maintain once he fell to a certain point.
Let's go down to Parker.
Kyle, you mentioned that he's doing a great job to hold on to that position, but also I look at it another way. He hasn't lost as much ground as you might think. He hasn't fallen all the way outside the top 20 and fell way off the lead cars. And so I wonder, will new tires be worth enough? If they do get that caution, how many laps do they need to be able to get back to the front and be able to pass all those cars if he hasn't fallen as far back as we might have thought he would?
That's an excellent point. Excellent point, especially if there's 20-some cars on the lead lap. Are you going to use your tires up coming up there? But let's understand this, too. The 7 car has a race win. They won at Phoenix. They can gamble. This was a gamble they chose to take. Right, wrong, or indifferent. It's tough to be in that position to be the leader when the caution comes out.
Ryan Preece has the field covered right now, but there are 50 laps to go as we go NASCAR nonstop. It is not over.
You know, Geico just saved me hundreds of dollars on my car insurance.
Huh. I should take a closer look at Geico.
Geico has a 97% customer satisfaction rating and fast and friendly claim service.
Speaking of service. Ooh, just out.
It was in.
Out.
In.
Out.
In.
What about now?
That was our only shuttlecock.
Take a closer look at Geico. Great savings and a whole lot more.
Howdy. Hey. Here we go. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's not your car.
Car's ready.
Wrong car.
Isn't that your car? I would love to take it, but no. I'm so sorry about that. You guys want to check it out?
Someone else's car.
This is beautiful. What is this?
It's the all-new Chevy Equinox.
This feels like a luxury SUV.
I love this little 360. How do they even do that?
I made a bad decision on my last car purchase.
Well, your car's here.
Bummer. Bummer.
Wah, wah. I'm ready for an upgrade.
In that dark moment, with death staring me in the face, I said, "Not now, Jeff! I got chicken sandwiches to make!" What are you talking about? I'm talking about chicken. With no antibiotics. Never again. Charbroiled. Sealing the flavor.
Wait, you had that whole conversation while your boat was going down, Daddy?
Yes, I did. The charbroiled chicken sandwiches with no antibiotics ever. Get the new Hawaiian chicken before it's gone. Only at Carl's Jr. and Hardee's.
Please, a 1% difference makes all the difference. That's why U.S. Cellular put towers where most others don't. Sadly, they're using a good enough network.
Hello? Hello? Left or right?
What's one wrong turn? Oops. Bye-bye. A 1% difference makes all the difference. So get our strong signal with unlimited data and no hidden fees for $40 a month in the middle of anywhere.
What goes around comes around. And as a sport that races in laps, we know that a clean race pays off in the finish. It's why NASCAR commits to green programs and biofuel, like Sunoco Green E15, so we can offset our carbon emissions. We're not going to stop making a difference, and neither should you. Learn how you can help by visiting NASCAR.com/green today.
Ryan Preece comes to the checkered flag and wins the Wheeling All-Stars Shootout at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Gonna have a great finish, getting set to fight it out for the win here today. Preece trying to get the draft.
Ryan Preece running for Joe Gibbs Racing today. Career best finish for Preece. And Preece has to feel pretty good about this.
Only part of Ryan Preece's year so far, it has looked pretty good. And after he got back to the modified series, was very much at peace with that. Has now parlayed 2 rides in the 20 car for Joe Gibbs Racing into very good days. You saw the second place in New Hampshire, trying to get the win here at Iowa today. 42 laps to go. Preece is in control. Benjamin second, Sadler third. Sam Hornish Jr. running in the 4th position. Ben Kennedy was on pit road. He was running 11th and came with some sort of an issue, changed all 4 tires. May have had a right rear down.
Dave, it was a right front, and there is a massive blister on this right front. They pulled off of Ben Kennedy's car, and he did pit when everybody else came down pit road, so it only had, what, 30-some laps on it. And but there is a huge blister on the right front of this tire that Ben Kennedy had, and he also had an uncontrolled tire, so he had to do a pass-through penalty. So now, as you see, back in the 24th spot for Ben Kennedy.
It's a day gone wrong, and that left rear doesn't look good either. I don't see any lettering on that one anymore, Kyle, and may have gotten into someone.
May have gotten into someone at some point in time, either obviously on the racetrack passing someone. But I'm telling you, as they came around, the guy on the wall did not catch the right front. And it ended up in the pit box of the pit in front of him, which is an uncontrolled tire, when he left the pit. Everything was not back in his pit box.
The leader is Preece. His teammate for the day, Kyle Benjamin, runs second in the 18 car. We talked about winning cars with future stars. The Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas have been to victory lane this year at the hands of Monster Energy Series drivers. And Benjamin, for his part, has been very close. He's qualified extremely well, has had a little trouble at the end of races, now finds himself almost 3 seconds behind this leading car, the 20 of Ryan Preece.
And, you know, we talked about and count down the green and everything we've done. We've talked about opportunity for these guys to win a race, opportunity for these guys to showcase their talents and their abilities and their skills. Ryan Preece and Kyle Benjamin both had the opportunity in a Gibbs car, have had the opportunity in a JGR car to go out and show what they can do, and they have both capitalized on those opportunities, I believe, and have been extremely impressive. No matter what goes on from this point to the end of the race, they have both been incredibly impressive.
Here's the gap back to 19-year-old Kyle Benjamin from Easley, South Carolina. Grew up within shouting distance, as you see this group of cars here battling through. That's the 5th place car of Cole Custer in the 00. And he gets a little wiggle off the corner there.
And that's a great example. You see these guys are racing for position too. As we see Brennan Poole go the inside. These guys are racing for position, and guess where they're running? They're running middle of the racetrack and high. So to get around them, you've got to go to the bottom of the racetrack. So it looks like, and it makes it 3 and 4 wide, and it's tough because the preferred line is the high groove right now. We see Brennan Poole get a little free as he goes back to the gas under Joey Gase.
And I'm telling you, Tommy Joe Martin's in that 78. He won't finish where he did in June, but he had a career day with some strategy and with some late race occurrences as far as race went. He was 11th at the end of the day. He's 27th now. Saw Ben Kennedy had trouble earlier, and now Ryan Preece trying to put him another lap off the pace. Kennedy is in the 24th position, 3 laps down. The sights and sounds of racing on a beautiful afternoon in central Iowa.
Okay.
Kyle, you're looking at the 7 here.
I'm looking at the 7 because of this. And Parker, and in that break, Parker gave us a little bit of information that I think we'd gotten so excited, I had forgotten. This car has to pit for fuel at some point in time before the end of the race. If he doesn't catch a caution, then staying out when everybody else pitted takes him out and makes it a level field for everybody else that's left. So the wild card in the race is Justin Allgaier. The wild card is if a caution comes or if he has to come down pit road and pit for fuel, because once he does, he has taken himself and that team out of the race.
And we were thinking probably within the next 8 to 10 laps here, KP.
Yeah, it's got to be getting close from a fuel perspective, because just the way it is. We knew they couldn't run the last 160 laps without a fuel stop at some point in time. When the caution came out, that put them in the fuel window.
Currently 14th. Allgaier motors along. He won stage 2. Ryan Preece in the 20 car won stage 1. The big goal at the end of the race is 31 laps away. As we go NASCAR nonstop, you won't miss a thing. Ryan Preece continues to lead. Can Kyle Benjamin close the gap on his teammate with just a few laps remaining?
With Smithfield Fresh Pork, the possibilities are endless, so you can bring great flavor to any meal. With a variety of hand-trimmed cuts, from chops to tenderloins to ribs, Smithfield uses the highest quality fresh pork to bring out the best in every dish. And because Smithfield Fresh Pork can be easily prepared in so many delicious ways, you can bring great flavor to the table any night of the week. Smithfield Fresh Pork. Flavor hails from Smithfield.
That's it, baby. Put it to the wood. You'll get it.
You don't need sunlight or wide open spaces. You don't need 4 wheels. Actually, you don't need any wheels. You don't need a lot of time. You don't even need gravity. All you need is an engine and Sunoco fuel.
Please, a 1% difference makes all the difference. That's why U.S. Cellular put towers where most others don't. Sadly, they're using a good enough network.
Hello? Hello? Left or right?
What's one wrong turn? Oops. Bye-bye. A 1% difference makes all the difference. So get our strong signal with unlimited data and no hidden fees for $40 a month in the middle of anywhere.
So your new prescription does have a few side effects.
Oh, like what?
You're gonna have dizziness, nausea, and sweaty eyelids, and in severe cases, chronic flatulence.
No.
So gassy, girl.
So gassy. If you're Boys to Men, you make anything sound good. It's what you do. If you want to save 15% or more on car insurance, you switch to Geico. It's what you do.
Next.
Next.
In that dark moment, with death staring me in the face, I said, "Not now, Jeff! I got chicken sandwiches to make!"
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about chicken. With no antibiotics. Never!
Okay.
Char broil! Sealing the flesh!
had that whole conversation while your boat was going down, Daddy?
Yes, I did. The charbroiled chicken sandwiches with no antibiotics ever. Get the new Hawaiian chicken before it's gone. Only at Carl's Jr. and Hardee's.
From qualifying earlier today, whoa, a little wiggle there from Ryan Preece. He has set the pace, but he's got to be careful with 24 laps to go and a commanding lead at the Iowa Speedway. That was a little more than you want to see right there, Kyle.
Yeah, that was a little bit, it got a little slick up there, got away from him. But I'm telling you, watching him, he is driven like a veteran. He has hit his marks. He has picked up. We see the 7 of Justin Allgaier come to pit road, just as we mentioned a minute ago. If it went too long, he was going to have to pit for fuel.
Needs fuel to go in the 7 car, and Parker is waiting for him.
Guys, he led 105 laps, but the gamble is not going to pay off. He has to bring that 7 car, as you mentioned, for fuel. I'll be interested to see if they just do 2 tires here to make this as quick as possible, putting those Goodyear tires on and getting that Sunoco fuel in. It looks like they're going to go for 4 tires here, and unfortunate for the 7 car because the gamble isn't going to pay off, and they're going to go multiple laps down here, guys.
And that'll make a rough couple of weeks for Justin Allgaier. Had trouble on pit road at Indy. A disappointing day there. And then a strategy call here, which, Kyle, could have worked.
Could have worked.
It did not.
But yes, he's not going to win the big race. Not a total loss. He got some playoff points. He's won a race. He's headed to the playoffs in the Xfinity Series. They could afford to gamble. It's a game you play now in stage racing, and it's a game you play that's part of what NASCAR racing in the Xfinity. Oh, we got a cut tire here. Off of turn 4.
And it's the 22 of Sam Hornish Jr. hard into the wall and now down across the front straightaway and into the grass toward the pit lane. There's a wall between him and the pit lane. He doesn't get across there, but that's hard impact for Sam Hornish.
Wow. Hard hit for Sam Hornish there. Hard hit. As he got to the center of the corner right as he starts up off the corner. I just happened to be looking. Sorry, I was speaking of something that was going on the racetrack and not on our monitors for everybody at home to see. But I'm telling you, hard hit in the outside wall. But let's go back to Justin Allgaier.
Yeah, but he's 2 laps down.
I understand that. But what I'm saying is, a lap or 2 later, yes, if you had stretched it, yes, what could you have done? What would be going on right now? It almost played into Justin Allgaier's hands, and that's the fickle fate of what racing is sometimes.
And we know it, right? We've seen it. If we've seen it once, we've seen it 100 times. This sport will make you crazy by just that much. Sam Hornish, thankfully, climbing out of the 22 car. Way in the distance, top of your screen.
Right there. You see it turn right and go straight into the outside wall. You see the sparks. It's down on the racetrack. And we saw that earlier. But just a cut right front. What's right here?
Brennan Poole's on board. There goes Sam.
Good job by this group of guys right here. Just avoiding that.
Allgaier among them, by the way. Justin scoots through. Sam's car now resting on the infield grass there. And a day that was supposed to be all about the win for Sam has gone away late in the race. 18 laps remaining under caution at the Iowa Speedway. Ryan Preece has been in control. We saw just a little wiggle from him as we came back from break from nonstop. That was interesting. He'll now have to face a double file restart. One of the cars contending his teammate in the same equipment, Kyle Benjamin.
But here's the thing. It's a double file restart, and everybody is equal. Everybody has the same amount on their tires. Everybody has the same fuel. Everybody has been on the same racetrack. No one has ventured back to pit road and made any adjustments. He was better then. He should be better now. That's the question, though, is that we see it so many times that a guy in third, a guy in fourth has a better restart, has been running a little bit better laps, has found a different way to get around other people. So for Kyle Benjamin, for Ryan Preece, these guys, we talk opportunity. One last opportunity here.
We'll come back for the finish at Iowa under caution. We'll reset and see who can win today. Cleanup being completed at the Iowa Speedway. A few of the cars off of the lead lap hitting pit road, but none of the leaders have decided to do so. They came down on lap 172 and got their tires and fuel. And Marty, the 20 remains in a good position.
Yeah, Chris Gabehart sitting here trying to figure out what's going to happen here. How do you feel about the chances of your young driver here on this restart?
Well, I think it's pretty neat that Joe Gibbs Racing's put 2 young drivers on the front row fighting for their career, right? So it's kind of cool to watch. Obviously, I want the 20 to win, but hopefully they finish 1-2. That's the main thing.
You kind of told him just take a deep breath. Are you worried about his nerves at all here on this restart?
I'm not. You know, this guy's new to this position at this level, but he's not new to this position. He's just fine.
There you go. He is new to this level, as he said, but not new to restarts and trying to win races, Dave. That's what he's going to do right here.
And Marty, we look back to last week at the Brickyard when teammates restarted, corporate teammates on the front row late in the Brickyard and raced each other pretty hard. It ended up taking out the best 2 cars in the event. Kyle Benjamin has to be careful about what he does on the inside of Ryan Preece on this restart.
Yeah, and he does. You always do when you're racing your teammate. But, you know, and they talked about this, and we just heard there. 2 drivers racing for their career. Kyle Benjamin.
That's
Ryan
a lot
Preece.
on the line.
That's a lot on the line with, what, 15 laps to go for these 2 guys. But Ryan Preece has been here. He knows. He moved Ryan Newman out of the way in that all-star race, in the modified race up in New Hampshire. He knows what it's like to race veterans. He is a veteran. Even though he's a younger guy, he has been in this position before, knows how to win championships, and knows how to win races.
Benjamin in the 18, Preece in the 20, Elliott Sadler in the 1. To his outside, the 00 of rookie Cole Custer, Brennan Poole, and the 3 of Brian Scott waiting behind them. Those are the top 6. NASCAR is adding a lap to make sure the lineup is right before they send them back to green here with what will be 13 to go next time they come by. The U.S. Cellular 250 has been a good one, KP. Battles all over the racetrack. We haven't been able to show you every single one of them because up front it's been so exciting.
They have raced,
I'm telling you,
from the front to the back, from the back to the front, and we've seen the 5th and 6th place guys, the 8th and 9th place guys, catch guys that were running 15th and 20th or 25th and 30th, and they're racing. So it's 3 and 4 wide. This has been a fun little race, man.
And if you like short track racing, you're going to like racing on the big track tomorrow. Pocono Raceway for the Monster Energy Series. Qualifying and racing on the same day. Hasn't happened in the Premier Series in a long time, but they will do it. You'll see it all on NBCSN. NASCAR America pre-race at 12:30, countdown to green at 2:30, and then the race at 3. Don't forget about the post-race show where we'll discuss it all. So from the short track at Iowa to the big track at Pocono, NASCAR spread across the United States and putting on its typical fantastic show. Ryan Preece on the outside of the 20, Kyle Benjamin on the black 18. We're back to green in the Geico restart zone. Right-hand side of the screen, Hemrick looking for a way around Poole, but he won't get it. Preece powering by on the high side. He's going to take the lead outright.
Really good restart by Ryan Preece. Really good restart by Cole Custer there, too. Been able to drive up on the outside of the 18 of Kyle Benjamin and at least make him feel that I'm right here on your right rear quarter panel.
Making him think about it. Cole Custer in the 00, the white car, trying to work by on the outside. Look back here in the top 10, fighting for positions with 12 to go. There's Justin Allgaier in the 7 car, still 2 laps off the pace. The strategy gamble did not pay off. But the yellow is out. And that's going to be good news for Harrison Rhodes, who will get the free pass. His teammate, Garrett Smithley, has had contact with the wall.
Lots of contact, pretty heavy contact there.
This will bring us to another resumption of the race, KP. 2 wide. And for the win.
2 wide and for the win. And we saw this last week in Indianapolis in the Cup Series, that you learn from these restarts. The guy that you beat last time understands what you're trying to do this time, and he may try something different and beat you this time. And we saw it with the 2 car of Brad Keselowski last week and the 5 car of Casey Kane. Whether you start at the beginning of the box, whether you start at the end of the box, what the guys behind you do, who pushes, who spreads out. And we've seen these guys spread out all the way down to the yellow line going into turn 1. So these restarts can be exciting, could get exciting.
Garrett Smithley out of the 0 car. Hey, and we're not talking just about the front row, right?
No.
Because Benjamin's been taking notes on Priest, but behind him, Custer, and now Brian Scott is 4th in the 3 car. His first race back in the Xfinity Series since the end of 2015. First time back in NASCAR since the end of last year. We mentioned to you tomorrow the Monster Energy Series from Pocono. Should be a great event there, with things changing after Casey Kane's breakthrough win at the Brickyard. One more winner, 12 on the season, only 4 points, only 4 positions remaining in the points category.
Yeah, listen, you're looking at Kyle Busch, Jamie McMurray, Chase Elliott, Matt Kenseth, 4 guys that I thought would have won a race by now, but they've gone winless because we've seen Austin Dillon, we've seen Ricky Stenhouse. These guys get their first wins. Ryan Blaney get their first wins. But Casey Kane last week winning that race, I'm telling you, I said it before, was the worst thing that could have happened to Clint Bowyer and Joey Logano, because it moves those guys below the line by a substantial amount.
You know, when the playoff format started, we always wondered, could there be 13, 14 winners on a season? They're headed that direction right now. And tomorrow, you can catch all the action on NBCSN to see if there can be a 13th winner on the season. Starts with qualifying at 11:30, all the way through to the post-race show at 6:30. And don't forget, IndyCar Series racing from Mid-Ohio follows us up as well. Big day of racing on NBCSN tomorrow. Some of these drivers will be just wanting to relax after a full day of work here at the Iowa Speedway. On board with Brennan Poole, who's running in the 6th position. The leader is still Priest, Marty.
And Dave, I love what Chris Gabehart said about the Joe Gibbs Racing young drivers who will start on the front row for what might be the final restart here at Iowa. And focusing on Ryan Priest, I'm reminded of what he said to us at the top of the show. He said, this is what I've been doing since I was 6 years old. I've waited 20 years for an opportunity like this. I'm not going to let a little pressure bother me. And then the crew who was around me when he told me that earlier in the day kind of joked, and they said, you're a superstar. He said, no, I'm not a superstar until I win one of these races. One more restart for Ryan Priest or Kyle Benjamin to become a superstar. Kyle, I can't imagine the nerves among those 2 young drivers on the front row for this restart.
Yeah, I can't imagine being in that position. And we've documented Ryan Priest's story incredibly well. And we've talked about Kyle Benjamin and his father, and this may be his last run, and this may be his last opportunity. For these 2 guys on the front row trying to make a statement, they both made a statement today. They've made a statement to the guys that run the Xfinity Series, to any owner out there in the Xfinity Series, any owner in the Cup Series or Truck Series. We know how to drive race cars. We can get it done when put in position that we can win races. So there's got to be a lot of pressure. But I'm going to say this. I don't think Ryan Priest ever feels pressure. I've watched him in the modifieds and watched him do some other things, and he is wise beyond his years.
Cool customer in the 20 car. Can he make it happen at Iowa today? 7 laps to go when they come to the line. Ryan Priest is in the gas. A little bit of a nudge from Brian Scott. To the inside now goes the 00 of Cole Custer. Brian Scott coming up on the outside in the black and yellow 3. Good run off the corner. Down to the inside. Kyle Benjamin challenging.
Kyle Benjamin right down on the yellow line there, and we saw earlier how Ryan Priest made that yellow line work.
Priest with a good run, momentum on the high side. He will clear outright going into turn 1. 6 laps remaining. Nice run for Benjamin off the corner. Brian Scott not out of it in the black and yellow 3.
Good run by Brian Scott to get himself in the middle of it there for a minute. But I think once it settles down here and Ryan Priest has settled into his groove, letting the car drift off in the corner, we see it's a half a car length a lap, But Kyle Benjamin did a tremendous job on that restart to be just enough of a fly in the ointment to aggravate Ryan Priest and to make him think, okay, somebody's here. You're going to have to outdrive me to win this thing.
Cole Custer's car not where he wants it to be. He's back to 6th place now. Matt Tifft has problems right in front of him. The 19 car spins. Caution is out. Contact behind him. Dylan Lupton involved, and Tifft is nudged. That's a 60 of Ty Majeski.
I think Ty was trying to slow down and just got into the 24 car.
So with 3 laps now remaining as the leader comes across the line, caution is out for this incident. And yeah, it wasn't too badly damaged before that. The front end might be a little bit tough on the 60 car for Majeski. Let's take a look, KP. That's 4th place being contested by Tift on the inside.
And we see as the 48 of Brendan Poole goes in, he cuts in a little bit. The 19 comes up. They just get together, and it kind of takes the air off of him. He spins around here, slow spin. We've seen a couple of slow spins today. From the other side, you see the 24 going up the racetrack that's been hit by the 60 car here of Ty Majeski, just trying to avoid the accident. Nothing these guys could do.
Cole Custer had a good look at it.
And you hear Cole Custer downshift into 3rd and then drive away.
This is on board with Poole.
Yeah, Brendan did a good job of just waiting, and then accelerating away from it. And I thought Matt Tiff had that thing saved for a minute.
He rode it for a while, and there's Ty Majeski getting loose and then tapping Dylan Lupton and ending up on the driver's side door of Tift, who has now been on and off of pit road for service.
Matt Tift and Ty Majeski had solid runs going today, had good solid days.
But when you go for that little bit extra at the end, KP,
that's it, man. That's it. When
you're racing,
they want you to come out here and race 250 laps, not 240, and then just take your position. They want you to race. That's what these owners pay you for. That's what the fans want to see. That's what we want to see at home watching this. You want to see racing every lap, and that was guys absolutely putting it all on the line. This is going to be interesting, and we talked about it before. What did Kyle Benjamin learn from the restart, this last restart? Because whatever he learned from the restart before that, he capitalized on it. He put himself in the middle of the mix to make 2 or 3 laps go by where he had a shot at least rattling the cage of Ryan Preece or letting Ryan Preece know he was there. Now, what did Ryan Preece learn from that restart? What's he going to do with Kyle Benjamin this time and the guys behind him? It's going to be interesting to see how this restart. Again, we saw this at Indianapolis with so many restarts last time.
So, Kyle, the scheduled distance of this race is 250 laps. They're going to cross that the next time they come by. Guess what? NASCAR overtime.
NASCAR overtime.
So, the rules involved here, there is a line heading into turn number 3 that once the green is displayed, the leader must reach. If the leader reaches that line in turn 3, there it is on the wall, then it's considered an official attempt. And the next flag will end the race, whether it's the white flag to come around to take the checkered or if there's a caution. We saw it last week at Indy as Casey Kane approached the overtime line. Carnage behind him, but he reached the line before the caution came out. So we'll see. Marty?
And Chris Gabehart did tell Ryan Preece, listen, this is going to be an overtime restart, as you mentioned, Dave. And Ryan Preece came on the radio and said, now this is more my game. And they joked back, hey, we haven't seen anything that's not your game. So what are you talking about? He said, you just wait and see. So I think Ryan Preece is kind of viewing this little overtime restart as a short track Saturday night restart. And he's pretty good at those, Dave.
He absolutely is, Marty. Been doing that most of his life. Started racing at age 6, worked his way through bodied cars and open-wheeled cars in the Northeast. And as we mentioned earlier, the youngest champion in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Series in 2013. Plied his trade in the Xfinity Series last year for Johnny Davis Motorsports. And 2 excellent opportunities this year in a Joe Gibbs Racing car have led to this. A final chance to win at Iowa.
Listen, I think we're getting ready. We're going another lap here. This is, as we look at this, Ryan Preece, Kyle Benjamin, Brian Scott, Brendan Poole, Cole Custer, J.J. Yaley in that 14 car. What a great run by those guys today to put themselves in position. When you get down to this overtime, when you get down to the green-white checkered, anything can happen. Daniel Hemrick put himself right back in the middle of the race. What a great effort by that team. William Byron has moved into the top 10. So many great or so many solid performances. I won't say great, but solid performances that have come back from adversity to put themselves in the middle of this.
Such a strong run for J.J. Yaley.
Yes.
His team owner, Mark Smith, passed away after a battle with cancer this week. His son Brian is here this weekend taking care of business, hoping they can just push through and racing in memory and in honor of Mark Smith. Coming back to the green, running in 6th position with a chance at an outstanding finish at Iowa. Don't forget Pocono tomorrow on NBCSN. Monster Energy Series qualifying at 11:30. The race is at 3, and all the coverage before and after from Pocono.
My hands are wet. I'm sweating.
Pace car is off. Coming to the Geico restart zone, maybe one last time. They've got to get to the overtime line. Ryan Preece fires off the 20, trying to win at Iowa. Ryan Scott now looking down to the inside of the 3 car. Benjamin clears him. Preece, Benjamin, Scott running out front.
Wow.
Benjamin with a little bit of contact all over Ryan Preece. They make it to the overtime line. Coming back to the start-finish line for the white flag. Kyle Benjamin with a nose ahead. Who will have it at the stripe? Preece will have it. White flag is out. 1 lap remaining in Iowa.
I'm going to tell you, Ryan Preece and Kyle Benjamin have put on an exhibition here of how 2 young drivers should race each other. This is phenomenal. Benjamin got a great restart. Ryan Preece fired off perfect. Great run by these guys.
Ryan Preece said, "Fate will tell me if I meant to do this at a bigger level." Fate has decided. Ryan Preece is going to win at Iowa. Benjamin gave it a shot coming to the line, but Preece was the best of them all this afternoon and gets his first career win in his 2nd start for this team. Strong team, no doubt, but what an outstanding day for Ryan Preece. Here they are coming off of turn 4. Kyle Benjamin with one last shot to the checkers, but Preece prevailed. We'll come back and talk to the winner from Iowa in a moment. The Iowa Speedway, another first-time winner, and this time it's Ryan Preece in the 20 car. A good start to the day, qualifying on the pole, but it was not a sure thing throughout the afternoon as Ryan was challenged repeatedly at the front, and with several restarts at the end, Kyle, a chance to give it away.
Yeah, and not so much a chance to give it away, a chance for other guys to learn what you're doing and to beat you at your own game. Ryan Preece got a phenomenal restart on that last restart. But I'm going to say this, Kyle Benjamin never let it rest. He drove off, he made a race out of it, and that was great racing for the last couple of laps.
Look at the unofficial results of the U.S. Cellular 250. 11th through 20th there. Allgaier ended up in the 20th position after a strategy call that did not work for him. A couple of late race incidents. Ty Majeski ends up in the 16th position. Matt Tifft a lap down in 19th. And Kyle, I think the drivers got and the fans got what they were sort of expecting. A hot, slippery racetrack on a beautiful afternoon that provided for side-by-side, 3-wide, 4-wide racing around this racetrack all day long.
I think the drivers got exactly what they expected. I mean, we heard Elliott Sadler. We heard so many guys during the week. Yesterday afternoon, as we did our stuff and did the interviews, we heard so many guys talk about the racetrack being hot and slick. But I'm going to say this. Here's a kid that's savoring every moment of this. I know we want him to go to victory lane so we can interview him and so the fans can hear him. But you know what? He doesn't care about us right now.
Nope.
This is his first Xfinity win. We've seen him win modifieds. We've seen him win K&M. We've seen him do so much, but here he is in an Xfinity Series race, driving for JGR. He wins the race. This is his moment. This is like when you see guys that stand up and give their acceptance speech. I don't care if they're on the 5-minute clock. Let them go 15 or 20 minutes. This is what this kid's doing. This is spectacular.
And he missed the door to victory lane, so he continues by the start-finish line again. I'm sure they're trying to tell him now how to get down there, but Ryan is soaking this in.
And the fans are appreciative. The fans along the front stretch here are incredibly appreciative of the performance they had here today.
Playoff standings as they stand right now. After 19 of the 33 races, you see the winners up in the upper left. Byron had a subpar day for them, but doesn't matter. He's still got 3 wins and leads the playoff picture. A couple of guys on the right-hand side, still on the bubble. Brendan Gaughan in 12th. J.J. Yaley now just 14 points behind.
J.J. Yaley, 14 behind. 14 behind. He did himself well today. Great run by J.J.
You've loved the short track tomorrow on NBCSN. Don't forget, Monster Energy Series all day long. Qualifying at 11:30, NASCAR America 12:30, 2:30 for the countdown to green, 3 o'clock, the race from Pocono. And then, of course, the post-race show. And as if that isn't enough, open wheel racing from Mid-Ohio, the IndyCar Series at 7. He's made it there, and he's almost set up properly. You know, things like this take practice too, KP.
Yeah. Let me tell you, the way he drove today, he knows how to do it.
Let's go down to Marty Snyder.
Hey, Dave, how about that? Dreams do come true. Ryan Preece started racing when he was 6 years old, and as he told us, waited 20 years for this chance, and he has delivered with a win here for Joe Gibbs Racing. And more importantly, for himself. Hey, Ryan, how about that? You bet on yourself, Ryan, and you won.
I don't even know what to say. Man, I got to thank everybody. Albert and Kathy, Al Hankey, Betsy from Mohawk, Mizzy, just everybody involved. Man, Eddie and Connie Partridge, my modified owner, helping me. Tommy, man, I'm so lost of words right now. I don't even know what to say. This is what emotion is, I can tell you that. But it's just thought this race would never end, that's for sure. But man, nothing's gonna beat today.
And that is genuine emotion. 20 years in the making for Ryan Preece, Dave. He's a winner in the Xfinity Series.
So many people to thank on a day that was so outstanding for Ryan Preece. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. There's your winner from Iowa, Ryan Preece.